Hey everybody, this is Double OG's podcast. So this is me, French OG at French OG3 on X, and I'm with the Rizz Report. Can you present yourself?
What's up, everybody? I'm half of the Rizz Report. We run, the Rizz Report on Twitter. And I feel like the way we present game or the way we want to talk about game and inside the Twitter space is more from a logical side of things, as I'm more from like a software developer, logical background. So we wanted to help guys, get more like emotional leverage, more game knowledge, and how they interact with women and date. Rizz Report, yeah.
So all right, well, thank you for presenting yourself. Actually, it's quite funny to have you here. It's the idea came after Angel from the last podcast came, and I mentioned you, right? Game recognized game, and I was like, actually, you know what? That's like a fucking good idea. So, and here I brought you up. And actually, let me ask you this. What led you to game and what would that trigger?
Man, probably because I was just always I was like the guy that spoke in math equations. You know what I'm saying? Like, if everybody was in on like a certain social dynamic, I'd be the guy that was like blundering. It's like imagine like dancing at a party, and I'm the guy that's stepping on everyone's toes, stepping on everyone's feet, right? And then like it got even worse when it came to talking to girls, right? I remember one time in middle school, I think I straight up said to a girl, I was like, "Hey, I think you're cute." Right? And I said, promise you, I said it exactly like that. And then like the look of disgust that she gave me, bro, it was like she wanted to like barf in her mouth. And then it's just like I came from that kind of a background to give you guys like a picture, right? And then all through high school, all through college, I was always somewhat like okay with the guys, but then when it came to girls, I was just too in my head, too logical, and I felt like if I had a snowball chance in hell to, make it and have like some fucking kids of my own, or actually make it work, then I'd have to learn game the logical way.
All right, game's a logical way. And what would you say has been the thing that made you have the biggest marginal gains? What was like, some people they say, oh, it was stop qualifying myself. Some people they'll say it was just once I started approaching, everything was fine, but I was just so afraid of the approach. Like, what was the thing for you?
I think it wasn't like one specific thing. I think it came in tiers. Like it was tier one, tier
Mhm.
two, tier three. The first thing I think everybody, myself included, is mainly just like that approach anxiety is the number one obstacle initially, right? It's like being all up in your head and realizing that okay, like fuck, like this is gonna happen. I'm going to, imagine the worst case scenario. And then once actually just pushing myself to actually do the approach, all of the tension and the doubt kind of like steams up and goes away. It's like it just the the nasty shit that drags you down is just like gone. Like once you're in the moment, at least it was for me. That was like tier one. Tier two was getting comfortable with expressing interest. Like it's like not good game per se, and a lot of guys in the manospheres would be like never compliment, don't say she's cute or whatever, or don't go direct, right? But for me personally, once I started being able to like express it, like you know how I came from like you're cute, you know, with my with my voice cracking and shit. And then once I was able to get more comfortable around that kind of dynamic and like, yo, like, I thought you was looking pretty good today. I want to say hi. Like once I started getting more confident around expressing that interest, I feel like a lot more walls came down, and that was tier two. And then tier three, probably one of the more important ones, is also just like understanding that you have value and you're not the one that's carrying that you shouldn't be the one that's carrying all the burden in the conversations. Like I was the guy that always took fault or took blame, and anytime there was an awkward moment, I was like, oh, it's my fault. But then once you start
Mm,
realizing that once you start getting like better reference experiences and you realize that shit, man, these girls be autistic as fuck. That kind of you know adds a little bit more groundedness and I guess you could say like in some sort of ways like frame to the way that you present yourself as well.
Yeah, and you know, it's you were talking about silences. You know, well, at first you're like, "Oh my god, I can't, I can't deal with silences. What should I say next?" It's like, how about you weaponize the silences? How about
Yeah,
you play to the silence? You know, how about you just show that you're comfortable in silence. Silence can also be used as a mean to show comfort, and if that person is also comfort in the is also comfortable in the silence, that is already a massive indication of vibe. That means,
exactly. Yep.
mm,
It's like it's the way that you interpret the dynamic, right? It's like some people like me and you could both go into, a silent scenario, but then maybe in my head I'm like all antsy and jumpy like, "Oh my god, he thinks I'm weird." Like, "Oh my god, like there's something wrong with this silence." But then in your head, you might be going, "Why isn't this girl saying anything?" It's like you might
yeah,
be placing the burden on her or you might be thinking, "Well, you know, I'm just gonna enjoy this moment with her. I feel like she knows what I'm feeling right now. I feel like we're both settling in, and there's nothing wrong with this, right? It just depends on how you're acting and what you're taking away from that interaction.
yeah, and you're taking away, and it's like you can even increase the tension. So you look into her eyes a bit more, you do a little smirk, all that type of shit. And it's like, and then what you thought would have been a handicap ends up being an amplifier, and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
great!" That's it really how it depends on how you look into things, and remind me again what was that third thing that you said that was really like the biggest marginal gain for you? That third tier?
The third tier was not carrying all the burden, so not everything's your
Yeah,
fault, right? Understanding that you have value.
it's give and take. Relationship are transactional, so in a way, when we discuss with someone, it's like you don't want to make it sound like a monologue. I mean, I know a few people that are great at monologues, and it's like they carry all the burden, but they become the burden. So
Yeah.
it's like just yeah, you're like, no,
Yeah,
no,
they're a
go,
burden to
go.
themselves, man.
That's yeah. But more importantly, if you look at it as well from an investment perspective, is the more they invest in the conversation, the better. But it's like if you just the one investing in the conversation, then you're not doing yourself any favor, nor are you doing her any favor.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of it, like you said, it's really that give and take dynamic, and it's like I feel like what separates a guy that's good with girls and ones who's more like green and getting up to speed is that guys who are good understand the value exchange implicitly, right? They know like the investment level when they compliment a girl, or they know the investment level when the girl looks away or when they look away, or maybe like when they cut off a conversation thread, or when they, say one word instead of two. It's like it's like implicit, right? Like they understand what is happening beneath the surface. Whereas like a lot of the guys who are more green, they see it as like I want to say almost like a reflective thing where they're like, okay, like, it's all there's no agenda. If I'm good, then she's good. I'm just gonna, bring her my best, and then she's gonna bring her best. I'm gonna and it's like in a way you can kind of see it that way, but if you don't understand the energy business that is operate underneath that, then you're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny the idea of energy. It's something that I was kind of like when I was younger. I was like, "What is it talking about?" It's
Yeah,
like
like, what the fuck?
this is some California, bullshit, like woo woo shit. I was like, because I was full of energy, and then the older I got, and the less energy I had, and I started not actually listening to words, but just getting vibe energy, and I was like, well, actually, that makes sense because I'm lacking energy. I can feel other people's energy because I need more.
Mhm.
You know, and
Yup,
I was
yup.
like,
You become like a miser of sorts. You're like looking at all the energy that's around you and how much you wanna spend, right? You're like, "Fuck this shit. I'm not gonna tell this girl a whole fucking monologue about my life in France, or London. Like, fuck that."
I'm like, and I sound like almost like a fucking Marxist, but it's like I see things now more like that's too much emotional labor for me. I mean, I'm about the French lifestyle. Wine, I mean, not anymore, but just cheese, chilling, and it's like, oh, and I have to carry all that shit. Oh no, thank you very
Yeah.
much. But no, but it's very important. And going back outside of the joke, going back into the idea of energy, like what energy are you putting out there? What energy is she putting out there? Do you feel like the good energy? Sometimes, like you go into and you meet someone, and you're like, you can't really pinpoint as to exactly what is. Although I love to kind of break shit down to a T, but you just know. You
Yeah,
just know.
it's hard to describe, right? Another word that people love to throw around is vibes. Yeah, it's just about
Yeah.
the vibe, bro. That was what really got me when I first started, because coming from like a very like super logical place, when people said vibe, I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about, right? And I feel like they themselves, it's hard to articulate what exactly is being communicated, like you said. And it's because like with energy, when you break it down, there are so many different layers to it, right? Is it like the volume? Is it, the context? Is it the pacing? Is it the length of the sentence? Is it, and then you go into like content, and then it's like an infinite amount of choices, right? But it's like what's
Mhm.
important to understand is like I feel like it's energy is information, right? It's like almost like it is saying to you, it is broadcasting what you are feeling emotionally, and that sort of signals to the girl everything she needs to know about you, right? So like if you're speaking with weak energy, then she might take that information as, okay, he is feeling anxious, he's feeling not confident, makes me think he's probably low status, probably like in his group of friends he's probably like the lower end of the totem pole. If I hang out with him, then I'm like, you know I'm gonna lose my creds. I'm gonna get ostracized. I'm with like, you know, the the small guy, not the big G, right? And
Mhm.
she's deducing all of that information from the onset. Like within 5 seconds, she can tell exactly like it's weird because like I feel like girls can tell if they don't want to fuck you in literally like 3 seconds. But when it comes
Yeah.
to if she wants to fuck you, then it's more like a more of a gradual process at times too.
Yeah, you must not fuck up. If she wanna fuck you, you must not fuck up. If she doesn't wanna fuck you, you're fucked. But more importantly, it's like I find that as well, um, that with the interpretation, like what you were saying is exactly right in the sense of she'll assume based upon the energy that you give, where you stack up. That's great. But like also a lot of time is and like I love to tier guys according to where the woman sees them, right? Like say for example, if she knows for within 3 seconds that like it ain't happening, like yeah, forget your tier three guy. If she knows like, oh definitely I want to rip his clothes off, you're tier one guy. And if like she's not so sure about you, like you're tier two guy. So it's kind of like interpretation will really work within those tier two guys in the sense of because everything that is assuming, like for example, I'll give you an example. I joked about this term autist maxing, or some people will call it avoidant maxing, or some people will call it nonchalant maxing. It can easily be interpreted of, oh, this guy is got like he's so chill, he's so like he's got a lot of things going on, right? But like using autist maxing, like it's like, oh, he's grounded, like he's masculine because he's non-reactive, right? All this shit. But to someone that needs to feel alive, she'll feel that the guy has a personality of a cardboard, and is lifeless, and she'll think that he's boring. So it really depends upon not only where she sees you, where you stack up, if she finds you hot or if she doesn't find you hot, like if she doesn't find you hot nor ugly, but also where she's coming from, as in what is her blueprint. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly.
For yeah, for a single action within that space of that tier two guys, it also depends upon where she's coming from. And when you're a beginner as a guy, it's better for you to try to be real, trying to be true to yourself, where you learn to own who you are so that you don't, yes, you'll get some attrition and everything. Once you increase that strike rate, good. But then once you get to that good baseline of result, if you want to actually become better, you kind of have to fake it till you make it in order to get through those growing pains of understanding, okay, well, where are my leaks so that I can actually improve? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's I think the ownership, like what you said at the beginning when you were saying that for the beginner guy, he should really take ownership of where he's at first. I think it like that word is powerful because it operates on multiple different tiers in like my eyes. It's like one is like ownership in like knowing where you stand, first is like if you're like tier two guy, but you're trying to act like tier one guy, that and if it's not congruent yet, then you're doing yourself more harm than good, first of all, right? You're like people think you're try hard, like that's the term that people use. But then it's also like if you don't realize where you currently stand, then what's also happening is that like it's almost like you can't know what to work on as well if you don't accept or know or take ownership of where you're at too, right? So it's like at the beginning, not only is owning yourself or taking ownership sort of like it gives off more of, at least like if you don't have the game, you have the authenticity vibe, right? But then even beyond that, it's almost like you actually can have a more clear vision of what you need to tweak instead of projecting everything that you are not. I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense. So, sorry, you want? I didn't want to cut you if you were still in the middle of something.
Go ahead.
No, okay. Yeah, because point being is like, okay, fine. Now you're confident who you are. Okay, that's a good starting point. But it's like, where do you find that a lot of time you fail? All right, okay, you pinpoint the amount of time that you fail at this point in time. Okay, and then what you do is you're like, okay, well, how about I respond to this, or I respond to this, or you find yourself different response, right? But trying to understand, why did I respond that way, and ask
Mm.
yourself why,
Mhm.
and then go back to the psychological loop that make you revert to responding that way. Are you defensive because you care too much about how she views you, or are you trying to explain yourself too much because you don't like to leave non-clarity to the other person because you're too desperate they understand you? What is it, right? Because at the end of the day, there's, I say to guys a lot of time, go on dates with girls you don't really give a fuck, and then do a comparison with a girl that you're more interested in, and you realize where most of your leaks are.
Yeah, it'll be obvious. It's like night and day too.
Just, I mean, hopefully there's not too much of a delta in terms of the SMV of both girls, right? So, because that doesn't help. But I find that it's like, even when you're talking about tier one and tier two guys, right? Like, even as a tier two guy, like, to me, I'll be a tier one guy to girl one, and I'll be a tier two guy to girl two, and I'll be a tier three guy to a tier three guy to girl three. So the point I'm saying is, it's like, you, even if you don't try not to play try hard, depending upon where she sees you, you'll end up being try hard. So, like, for example, if I go and approach a girl on the streets, that finds me as a tier three guy, the fact that I even approached her was audacious and almost try hard. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah,
like, you can't control that. You can't control that. So be
yeah,
fine with the idea that even though you're not try hard per se, her view of you will be seen as such if she doesn't view you the right way because you're not hard enough, you're not good looking enough, etc., etc. Right? So relax.
yeah. I try to like separate external circumstances or components from like what I can control. So it's like
Yeah.
for guys, like all you can really control is the controllables, right? So it's like
Yeah.
regardless of where the girl sees you, I put my best foot forward, and then like depending on what stimulus that I'm getting from her, then it's like I know it's either like a yellow light, a red light, or a green light, right? And then if it's green, then you amplify what it is, you double down like what it is that you're doing, or you have like the kind of like the signal to move forward. Whereas like if it's yellow, like if let's say like she's still sizing me up, right? If
Yeah.
she's like vetting me, like I'm on the street and she's like, "Where you coming from? Like where you from?" and all that. I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, do you want to go on a date with me? Like let's go out sometimes," right?
No buy-in, no buy-in.
Yeah, because there's no buy-in, right? Exactly. So it's like what I'm doing is like I feel like in any kind of social interaction, you just want more info, right? You want to know where you stand, and then depending on where you stand, then you have the best choice of information to operate from. So if she's still vetting me, then okay, I'll vet her back, right? I'm like, what do you mean where I'm from? Where are you from? Like, why are you like, what are you, Popo? So I'm like I'm flipping it, right? It's like then she's like, okay, well, okay, now this guy has balls. Like, I was testing him. Like I know that he can stand up at least. He's not gonna be like a fucking doormat, like clawing at me, right? Then it's more so like and then it goes back to like what kind of information, like what kind of energy are you bringing out, right? Because then like with my energy, if I do it like that, then I'm communicating at the same time. I have boundaries. I'm not gonna let girls just walk over me. I'm not gonna be a performing jester for her either. Like if you're gonna try to get me to qualify, then no, I'm gonna reverse it, uno reverse it on you too, right? So it's like even things like that. It's more so everything is communicating information even though it's indirect, right?
Exactly. Like again, it's about the medium's a message. Like you flipped it back on her. The fact that you flipped it back on her is just you saying that you've got boundaries without saying, "Hey, I've got boundaries." So,
Yeah, like you always see on Twitter, like I shall not let. It's almost like he's Gandalf the wizard, right? You shall not pass, and he's saying
yeah.
that's the girl who's like, oh my god, like I don't know about you, and then she's like, you shall not talk to me that way, right? And then it's like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah. It's a bit like it's a bit like a guy say, "I demand respect." No, you don't demand respect. You command respect. Either someone give it to you or someone doesn't give it to you. But you can't force respect
Yeah.
or compliance of a girl. It's
Mm-hmm.
like if a girl give you compliance after you force it to her, yeah, at best she's gonna resent you. At worst, I don't even want to know.
Oh, bro. Exactly, man. Like, if you got to demand it, you ain't got it, right? So
Yeah.
it's about like, how can you influence it instead of being forceful about it? Right? How can you communicate? This is what I tolerate. This is what I don't, and then everything else. That's because that's really all you can control, right? But then, funny enough, is that when you master that level of control, everything that is outside of your area of control starts to become more controllable, right? So it's like an indirect way of controlling the outside controllables, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so increasing your scope of influence, by what you're saying, really. Increasing is, I mean, you know, I said to you guys, I mean, to me again, like I'm very simple-minded. Maybe I'll sound basic as fuck, but if it doesn't add up, subtract. You know, so it's like if a girl starts, messing me around and everything, I'm not telling her anything. I'm just like, hey, I'll just remove my attention and my energy. That's it. And it's not even for me to kind of like coax her into doing anything. It's just to save my mental load. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I love what you said about you're focusing on your energy, right? It's a lot of I feel like that's the difference between a lot of like the game and the frame stuff is that the if it's like you're too extreme on the game end, you're more so focusing on, her needs, her reactions, her intent, and then you're focusing on like the objective, right? But then at the same time, you're neglecting your own, but then in doing so, you're kind of again going back to the communication of information, you're communicating a lack of boundaries and you're teaching her that she can treat you like shit and that she can get away with it, right? So that you're indirectly showing that about yourself. And so it's like from that standpoint, that quote unquote good game is actually bad game because now she knows she's got you by the balls.
Yeah, especially, and there's also something that I've seen happening over the course of the past 10, 15 years is before, like, pursuing was a legitimate type of endeavor from a guy's perspective, right? But now it is being weaponized as attention farming for women. And it's like they'll use the opportunity of a guy chasing them because there are so many guys that chase after them. They'd be like, all right, I'll just have another one just to fill up my ego tank, you know?
Yeah,
And it's like, yeah, I'm not saying don't always never pursue, but be mindful of what you're getting from the girl, right? Because if
exactly.
you, yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah, it's validation. We're living in a validation city, man. This it's why, like, going back to our earlier point about um energy and exchange, and like seeing it sort of like a transactional business, right? This is why in this day and age is even more important than ever to understand what is the input and what is the output, right? What are you putting in and what are you getting out? And then having sort of like your limits and understanding the signs of when those limits are being breached, or knowing signs of when a girl is truly invested versus when she's just strolling you along like you're her golden retriever, right? So,
Yeah. But like one good way is look at whenever you convert, like, because a lot of communication now are digital, right? But look at one of the like, if you always talk about whatever she want to talk, right? But whenever you want to talk about something, she kind of like ignores or discard, or she just completely you know, jump to onto another subject. Then that's a precursor sign, for example, right? Or it's like if you're always available, but she's not always available for you. Hmm, another sign, right? It's like if you make an ask and she either ignores it or sidesteps it, that's another sign. So really, it's about understanding the medium. She's not going to tell you, "Hey, you're just my little puppy dog." It's about realizing that are what some people would call micro moves, giving you the signal.
mhm,
That's more important. Yeah.
everything's indirect. She's not gonna, like you said, she's not gonna be like, "Hey, you're my tier 3." So
Yeah, and also when also there's another thing, right? Like it's good for you, like in order for you to prevent yourself from a lot of disappointments. It's about understanding the signals from those micro moves, but it's also about you acting upon those signals of those micro moves. What is the next move from that micro move for me to get to the next stage, right? Because if you fail that, then you're most likely going to end up in that situation when she's attention farming on your ass.
yeah.
But it doesn't mean that her level of interest is very high. I mean, some people, their threshold of action or of interest will be very low in terms of her signal of interest. She follows threads, she is high engagement and everything. Some people will be like, "Hey, come to the house straight up." Not to mention any names, right? Some people
Yeah,
will
yeah, yeah.
be, well, oh, she followed my thread, or some people will be like, oh, she managed to come close to the date, like come close to the venue, like,
Yeah, everyone has like their own threshold of, how much interest is sort of like, like worth it for me to, take it. How much of it is how much of it is most likely going to lead to the result that I want, right? So you guys are like playing that risk to reward game. And then it
mhm.
depends on one, like, where is your level of, well, how much risk are you willing to spend? And then two is like, well, how much, how much, like, for a lack of a better word, like, how much confidence do you have in yourself that you can flip shit? And then also, like, is it even worth it to you to even flip it, right? What are you willing to
Yeah,
tolerate also, right? So there's like, you have all these different factors. Um, and I just remember, like, I think it also depends on what stage you're at, or like where your goals are too. Like if some guy is like headhunting for, a long-term partner, then it doesn't make sense for him to raw dog every single interaction and not have like not have his like bets, stacked, right? It's like it doesn't make sense. Whereas like if you're learning game or if you're just focused on fucking as much as you can, um, or like, I don't know, because I had a period of time, me and my boys had a period of time where it's like, I'll go on a fucking date, even if I know I have like I've been on dates with like there's been this teacher that's like she's trying to be like she had took the teacher's psyche too seriously. And on the whole date, she's like trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And then you're not gonna do this, you're not gonna do that. And then the entire time I'm like, I know that she has sort of like a need for control, and then so I'm like I'm kinda like what you said, like, I'm just, like, playing along and, like, letting her, think that she has what she wants, and then when she feels safe enough to, like she even get feel safe and to get pulled because that's the frame, and then once she's back, like, in my space, like, when I can kinda, like, make things happen, I just kinda can, like, flip the switch, but then that's, like that depends it depends on, like, what you're willing to risk, again, and what you're willing to tolerate, right? But
But what's interesting, and I actually touch on a subject that a lot of people will find relevant, is that there's a much higher degree of need for control from women these days, right? Because, and they think that control is actually gives them the agency, because it's like it's all about like I make videos on TikTok and I look at what actually buzz, right? I test straight to kind of understand the marketplace, and control is one of them. They all want the control. And what you did is perfect. Like, like you gave her the idea that she is in control. Right. Forget about the frame, who's got the frame or whatnot. It doesn't really matter, really. I mean, like to me, I'm like, yeah, it's the same thing as a bitch saying her agenda. To me, it's okay, fine. You're like, if you tell me verbatim her agenda, okay, I know what I need to say to her in order for me to get her. Like, great, even though I may operate into what looks like her frame, I don't care, because at the end of the day, who's not gonna get called after she get fucked? Not me, that's her. So it's like fuck
exactly.
off. So it's
So
like
yeah.
she wins the small battles. She's not winning the war. And that's
Mhm.
what guys like. Forget about the frame shit. I mean, like I do love a bit of frame control because I love verbal jousting. But outside of that, and but what the biggest lesson is, the more she feels, the more she trying to control something, or the more she makes you feel that she's trying to control something, the more you understand her agenda that is this control. So the more you know how to use that against her, because at the end of the day, you control the one that signal that she wants to control. Who is the one controlling the dynamic? The one that is so overt about her control seeking, or the one that is covert in the control allowing?
Yeah, she's like we said this earlier, where she's seeing like the well, and I'm seeing the whole sky, right? She's seeing the short term battle, like you said, and I'm seeing like it's like the war of attrition, like who has who has the longer force, the longer the sight that sees farther, right? And then this goes back to just, what are you willing to tolerate? For some guys, if they care more about how they're operating or the process of in which they move, if they're at that stage, then, like, then this might not be an attractive, thing for you. But if it's like, if you want to be petty, like, let's say you're on a date already.
You're talking about me here.
I mean, because I do the same shit, right? It's like I'm already
Mm.
on the fucking date. I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna. You're being a dickhead now. This isn't what I expected. Okay, now I could either play therapist with you and try to like win you over, or I could like teach you the hard way. Like when you when you like try to control shit too much, sometimes I might even backfire you even more, right? So then, I don't know,
No,
man. It's just
no, but, like to me personally, like I explained to you the process, what you did, right? Which is basically the right way if you want to get the outcome. It's like, and that's what I was saying to Angel last time. I was saying, it's like, yeah, I know how to diffuse bomb, but what's the point of diffusing bomb? I might as well basically blow my legs up because she ain't worth it. It's like, it's like, well done. You've wasted your day. Like to me, it's like, as you said, it's a give and take, right? It's like, great, you had a shit date. I had a shit date. Well, I'll blow everyone up if I'm not finding what I want. And it's about having that agency as a guy. Not saying that you have to do my way, or not to say, or you have to do the other guy's way, which is allow her to have the control. If that's something that you're fine with, you don't really care. That's fine. For me, I personally care about the process. I'm a bit of a French aesthetic cunt, but But if it's something you don't, if it's something you don't care, or if it's like, just go with it, roll with it. It's like, and forget about, oh, who's framed this, who's framed that. At the end of the day, you're not gonna frame your dick in her, right? So
Yeah. But this topic is super interesting to me too, because there is like caveats and nuances, like when we talk about um controlling frames or controlling narratives, because it's almost like sometimes because it depends. For me, it depends on where the girl is coming from. Like if I feel like the girl is just like, crazy, or she's just like illogical in the way that she like, if the concern or the frame control is sort of like, if I feel like it resides within a certain acceptable amount of a buffer, or if she's just like testing me, or she's just like, seeing if I'm really like as much as I claim myself to be, or like she's trying to see if I have leaks or if I have holes in my shit, I'm fine with that, right? But if it comes to the point where, she's trying to control the entire the narrative or the rule setting, and then it's like it's almost like it's the girls that operate in narrative and monologue that I get the most distaste towards, because they're more like operating already within their own realm of reality, right? You can feel like she's kind of like talking to herself at that point. And for you to really engage in that is like so much to fucking unpack, which like you might could, maybe, but then like it's like, is it worth your emotional conscience? Is it worth the emotional energy that you're gonna put into that? Especially if you know that you're probably not gonna see her, you know, in the
the
long
thing,
term anyways.
it's like, to me, it's, and that's interesting you say this. I remember, like, I'll use two example, right? I remember I went on, there was this girl from out of town, like fucking hot as fuck and shit, right? Like, I was like, all right, uh, we go to a Sky Bar, went to a Sky Bar in London. But the thing is, she was in London for a very short period of time. I might as well, go in it, right? And jump on it. But then there was her best friend and her gay friend, right? And I was like, oh, you know what? Whatever. I'm like, it was kind of like last minute, and I just thought, well, I can be spontaneous, why the fuck not, right? Why can I not be spontaneous for once? And I'm like, all right, cool. I always want spontaneity. I went there, and I was like, literally, you know, it was like Terminator, like the friend. She literally hijacked her shit. I was like, she wanted to see whether or not, I was claiming who I was, but I didn't even say anything. It was like shot on target. And I spent the whole like, I could have just discarded it and all that. I'm like, I played along, I was like, I was not trying to sell myself type of shit. I was just kind of like, just enjoying the back and forth from a verbal jousting perspective. Start chatting with the girl, all that. But the experience was so shit. I was like, what was the point? Like, you literally, I remember saying to the friend, it's like, so is that something that you usually do, basically, discuss the guy that your friend's supposed to go out with? I mean, do you have any sight on your friend? I mean, like, then I asked her friend, like, if she was a dyke or something, but the point I'm saying is, it's like, the it was a narrative control. It's like, I just want to make sure that my friend is like, it's like, that my friend's got the right guy, and I'm just like, is your friend, an adult, a grown up adult? Can she make a decision of her own? and and it's like, I could have taken the risk, the higher risk, where it'd be like completely shove the frame out, but I had no buy-in. And it's like, who's she gonna follow? Her friends or me, the guy that she'd never known? I mean, like, let's be real.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was cornered, and I was like, fuck this. I knew from there on that it was a shit setup. I didn't really
Yep.
care,
Yep.
because
Yep. Yep.
I didn't, I enjoyed just basically going out. It was like, and it was actually a very hard to get bar, because it's like every time they give you fucking pain bouncer type of shit. I was in the same hotel, and they didn't allow to get me in the bar, even though I was a patron at the hotel once. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Anyway, the second one was like, girls dressed up like a fucking slag from one of the biggest hold'em in the UK, and she was giving me kind of like very like, I don't trust anyone. I don't do this. I don't do that type of stuff. I was like, okay, fine. Tell me you ran through without telling me you ran through.
Yep.
Um, and I was like, what I fucking hate is paying for shit that I didn't earn. Like in the sense of if I made my mistakes, I'll pay for it. Fine, right? But if I didn't make my mistake,
It's
like
her
why?
baggage then.
It's her baggage, right? You're
Yeah.
literally just throwing me baggage on me. I'm like, fuck off. But she was hot. Right.
The lower head prevails.
The thing is, if she's hot, you have like a little bit more leeway. I'm not saying that I will literally open my ass cheeks and let me and get pegged, but what I'm saying is, it's like, all right, let's so go on the day. I felt like, we're talking about energy. I felt something was a bit different. I felt like type of shit, right? And I didn't text her for 2 days. Then she blocked me, and then, long story short, managed to get her to unblock me. But I wanted to do. I was pissed off, right? And I was like, you know what, bitch, I'm gonna fucking pump and dump you because you're a fucking cunt, and just basically teach you a fucking lesson, right? But I had to please a beta bitch. I had to do this and all that. I was like, it's fine. There's a higher purpose to this, right? Anyway, I and then met her the second day. I closed. I was like, all right, cool. But triangulating all the information, I realized she was actually very inexperienced. She was very clumsy in her communication. She was very clumsy in her game per se, but she exposed herself. She was, in a way, even though she said she didn't trust and everything, at the same time, her actions showed that she gave me the benefit of the doubt. She was willing to show that she was mistaken about me. So she, irrespective of the bullshit she said, her action was, first of all, were positive, but second, I realized that actually she was very fucking low BC body count, right? And I was like, originally my intent was bad, but because I understood that the narrative that I've told myself was bollocks, I chucked out the original intent. And that control that she wanted to have, because on that first date she didn't want to comply to basically to my advances. Because I don't fucking waste time. I don't do fucking 2 dates, 3 dates, right? But I wanted to do 2 days just to pump and dump her, because it's like, oh, you don't want to fuck on the first day? All right, fine. I'll teach you what it means to make me wait, bitch. But because I could understand where she was coming from, and I was like, actually, you're a good gal that is kind of a bit misguided, and that control didn't come from the same position,
Mhm.
then
Yeah, yeah. That's what's important, right?
exactly. That's illustrating exactly what you're saying. Is it a narrative driven control freak type of shit, or is it just kind of like cost of doing business in a low trust environment?
Yeah, because I think that that sums it up perfectly, like that low trust environment. So it's like important nowadays more than ever to see where is the narrative control coming from, right? Is it coming from a place of, I just had so many dicks that's ran through me and I don't care about you at all? Because it's like the way I see it is, how I said that for a lot of the girls, like you can tell when they're um very, I guess, like it's very highly likely they're damaged if all they can think about is their own frame of reference. So if she excludes you or excludes like the way you think or the way you feel about her actions or her control, then it's most likely she's been so like she's so scared, traumatized or whatever that she's mainly focusing on herself and it's purely agenda driven. But then if she has like kind of like bandwidth to see things from your side, I kind of like I have that's like points in my book where I'm okay, like she can
Yeah.
see outside of herself, right? And then at that point there might be more to the story. Then I'm more intrigued at that point. Like, okay, like let's give this a go. Like I'll see what I'll read through more of this book, right? As
Mm.
opposed to just flipping through the cover. Oh, this is bollocks, and then I'm just like closing it.
Well, I mean, you seen the text I showed you, right, on the DMs, right?
Yeah.
Well, that that girl that was telling you like inexperience and everything, that was her. So
Yeah, 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 yeah.
more
So
bullshit, more bullshit. But
yeah.
but what's also interesting is, uh, you know, mm, oh, there the thing that was kind of like the dead giveaway. So you're on a date and you kind of like you can't really pick up on really exactly what, but you feel something's off in the sense of like she's not like the typical type of ran through bitch. It's like, and what was that thing when I look back at it was our awkwardness, right? And that awkwardness was something that was very interesting from a perspective of she was not kind of like brainwashed through whatever TikToks or like female empowerment bollocks shit, like in terms of becoming a strong woman, I've healed, like all this type of nonsense. And because those type of women that you're saying, like they just don't basically take you into consideration within their mental equation, are the one that are not awkward whatsoever.
Very learned, contrived, right? It's because
Very
they
contrived,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They learned how to like um pose and even like beyond the pictures, like even the way they interact and behave, they've learned how to kind of like play the game. So when someone becomes too skilled at playing a game, that means they've been in the pool for far too long, right? You know how to swim. You know how to swim, bitch. So why do you know how to swim so good, right? Like because it's not they're not it's like it's almost like they're not supposed to be good at this. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Go ahead.
but it's quite funny because there's also another thing. I find they have the shittiest game. It's
Mhm.
like, in a way, it's almost like the frame guys. Some of the frame
Oh,
guys
yep.
have shit game. They have fucking shit game, right? It's like, it doesn't mean like, to me, I separate frame and game, right? So I know some people will make frame and game part of the same thing, right? Uh, but having frame doesn't mean that you cannot be charming. It goes for both the guys and the woman. But at the same time, those women, they're like, it's frame only, and
Yeah.
everything that it feels like it comes at such a cost for them to be pleasant that it's becoming so obvious that whatever they say
It's
is only
it's
posturing.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's hardened, right? It's like you can tell that it's more so like it doesn't even feel like a date, but more so like a business negotiation.
But
Like the
even in the texting, even in the
yeah,
texting.
yeah. So then it's like if the vibe is very tense and stiff, like if it's awkward, then that's kind of actually a green flag because it's like you said, it's an indication that she's not very she doesn't care too much about how she is perceived as well, or at least she doesn't know how to, contrive herself to be the person that the other guy wants her to be. But then if it's the other way around where the girl's already been in that situation for more and more and more, it's like all of her arguments are then laid out. It's like it almost kind of feels like recited. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like it's not it doesn't feel like she's speaking from the moment, but she's speaking from the agenda. Like that's what all the guys are
Yeah.
talking about, like the agenda base, versus like going with the flow, right? Because like if the guy is fucking up, or if the guy's making her feel like a meat suit, then she might, have her guard up. She might have the defenses up, and she's gonna start, reactively talking about that stuff. But if it comes out of the blue, like out of left field, then that's a different story, right? And I think this is what I'm kind of like in, in the middle of. Like this is my stance where it's like I feel like it's such an important difference, like whether her guard comes from like right from the get-go, or if her guard comes from the guy being a shitty date, or if the guy is like not, running the interaction correctly. Because it's such like a slippery slope to fall down under, like a trap to fall under, where like if a guy just starts dating and then he's like he's learning all of these agenda motive driven girls like on Twitter. He's reading about the narratives and everything. And he comes into the date like having that preconceived notion. His behavior might then just trigger her guard up,
Yeah.
even if she's not, the type of person that would do that for a cooler guy. And I feel like that's the major difference that guys should be aware of. It's this whether it's where the where the source comes from. Is it like is her heart already black, or did you kinda, like, piss her off? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, no, 100%. And that's the I spent a bit of time telling about the two stories because it's really illustrate that difference. It's like the reason why I was kind of like I misread the signals is because of the archetype that you represented. The archetype of what she represented was the polar opposite of who she actually was. And I was like, and I was driven by that archetype rather than actually by the signal and the energy that I could read from the date. But that thing made me realize, all right, I need to adapt and to actually completely flip a switch because she's not what was the original assumption that led me to behave the way I did, you know? Whereas with the other one, I'd be like, I'm not, like, I'm not gonna look and be starting to contort myself in many different ways in order to please whatever bullshit she got going on because it's not a fair game.
Yeah, it's
I
just too
mean, I'm not.
expensive. She's it's just like, "What why am I paying this much? Why am I
I
paying
mean,
extra because, you can, like, pay up your half, right? Like, now I
yeah,
have to deal with your baggage and the mistakes of the past guys or your mistakes of the past, and, I'm just paying extra for the same thing. Why?"
and also what's interesting is I find that for all of their experience, they don't know how to use it to their benefit because I've seen girls with love experience that are fucking killers. And when I mean killers, like
They'll rinse you, bro.
no, but like they know how to play you. I'm like, like sometimes I'm interacting with a girl. I'm like, all right, now we're talking. Now we're talking. And I'm like, and some of these girls, I'm like, yeah, there's no fucking wonder you've been on those apps for God knows how long. It's like you even basically make a guy run back to the prison after he's come out just after a date with you. You know, he'll get more fucking fun out of his hand than is dealing with you, really. And it's like, generally what you tend to find is all those girls tend to have their friends being single as well. It's like the crabs in the bucket mentality. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah, go
weird
on.
how sorry, go ahead.
No, no, go on, go on.
I was gonna say it's weird because it's almost like, um, with the crabs in the bucket, it's like the if there's any at all, is that these girls are actually fun to date because, like, they're around the single people a lot, so the banter, the interactions, the flirting, the seduction is there, which is things that guys actually appreciate. But then when it comes to, crossing over to that other side, then that crabs in a bucket mentality comes back and bites them in the ass, right? The friends, like, saying negative things, the friends sabotaging, the friends, like, it's like at that point it's almost like the friends are afraid of the girl, or not even afraid but envious or jealous of the girls kind of like escaping
Yeah.
that wheel. And then, that's the negative, right? The positive is that she gets you, she has experience with the guys, but then, it's like all the other bullshit that comes with it afterwards.
But, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, I used to be frustrated by it. No, I'm just like, whatever, it's like, you do you, knock yourself out. And funnily enough, not too long from now, I know a guy that on few occasions, I find myself having gone on a date, sometimes fuck, not sometimes, not every time, but sometimes fuck the girl. And, few months later, my friend said, "Hey, I've got this date with this girl," and I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I fucked her friend," or "Oh no, I already fucked her." It's like, "Oh really? Yeah, yeah." And it's like they're getting they're getting passed around and they don't even realize it, and they think that their standards are supposed to actually make them more more in demand whatsoever. But what they don't realize is because it becomes so hard to deal with, they end up being way more used than others. Because it's like, it's like, how women want a guy that not only is as value, but as standard. So that in a sense, he's not, because he has value, he's not going to run through the whole streets. He's going to pick and choose only the top ones, right? So what they project in their in their conversation, in their behavior, that they are that same type of girl.
Yeah.
What they don't realize is You can get away with that if you're 8 plus, 9 plus, 10 plus, right? But if you're a 6 or 7, you're just making your life harder because that perception of us is like from guys' perspective, it's like, well, are you first pleasant to deal with, or are you just gonna pretend to be the prize? Because I've noticed as well, and I find that is on both sides. Both the man and the woman want to be the prize. Both want to be chosen, and that's create that market failure.
Hmm. Yeah, is what spoke to me just now is how it's like the the in demand, like I'm hot shit kind of a vibe. It's like you said, like if it's 8 or 9, it's more so plausible. But if it's like a 5 or 6, sometimes even of a 7, if it's like she's like being too crazy, then it's almost like eh, it's almost like you're telling on yourself, right? Because it becomes like, and it's not even telling, it's just like the dynamic that you're placing yourself in. You're actually filtering for the guys that you don't even like, right? I think that's an important point to talk about too,
Yeah.
is like the guys who would be okay with that kind of a bullshit, they would, that's the type of guys that would, fill your standards or be okay with appeasing you. But then the guys that have more boundaries, like you said, or the guys who are actually more in demand, if they have all of these other, options, why is he going to put so much effort into you because you say you have so much standards, right? And it's like it comes back to the pleasantry, cuz like if you were truly, I feel like if girls were truly a high quality woman, they would need to throw it in your face, right?
Yes.
It You know what I'm saying? It's like they're pleasant and they get what they want through influence, not by demand.
Boom.
Right?
There you
So
go.
so then like you can tell it's like behavior that it's like you can tell like it's like the way that she interacts with you, the way that she interacts with the waiter, the way that she's soft spoken. It's not even soft spoken from from the standpoint that she's weak, but it's more so like she understands the power of being soft spoken, right? It's like I have an auntie, um, and when I go visit her, like it's so weird because she is often very calm and soft spoken, yet she holds the most power in the room because everyone can tell that it's like it doesn't come from a place of, needing to prove herself or because she's scared to speak out, but because it's like she knows what leverage that softness holds and she stands on it, right? So it's like it's soft, but then at the same time, there's like a knowing, like almost like a pure entitlement behind it, right? And then guys will respond to that still.
Look, those are the like the girls that are actually got the greatest game. Are not the one that are basically being brats, whatnot. It's like it's more like the one that are very nice to you. Even they're hot, but they're very nice to you, and they want to see how you react. They want to see how like uh, is he gonna get very much like is the guy gonna get very much like psyched about the fact that I'm actually not one of those hot resting bitch face annoying shield bitch. No,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's like, and you
She's gonna
never know exactly where you stand because it's like she could have friends on you, she could have not have friends on you, but like she's already gained positive points. She's already gained positive points in your in your view, and then what it's gonna do is that you as a guy will say good stuff about her, and it's gonna propagate, such as your auntie, right? She understands that the feminine power is not in basically copying the man, but is in embracing that feminine power to influence from within the man to
Yeah.
expand the scope. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say they understand the downstream effects, right? They're not like, okay, I have to do everything myself. It's almost like as like if we use like business terms, right? The boss becomes a better boss when he knows how to delegate, right? The girl in this is in essence is just running delegation on the guys, right? She
Yeah,
just knows what can be done. And then it's like you don't have like they don't have muscle. They're not gonna haul ass. They're not gonna do construction, right? But if they know how to play their cards right, they can get like 4, 5, 6 guys who can do it for them, right? And those are the girls that they understand what They understand the leverage that they actually hold, right?
And yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
sorry, go
I
on.
was just gonna say one more thing about the being nice. Like, I feel like what you introduce with the girl being nice says a lot about it's an interesting and it's a very important, lesson dynamic. It's like sometimes girls will even be nice to see like you said how you are going to react to her being nice. Like, are you almost going to be like surprised that someone is being nice to you? Can you be chill about it? Or are you going to like bite on it? Or, are you going to try and, take leverage of it to the maximum? Or can you, can you like match that vibe and match that energy? And almost sometimes I'll even be like if a girl is too nice, sometimes I'll match it. I won't be like a dickhead or whatever, but I'll still be a little bit like skeptical. I'll be like, I'll play around with it a little bit, right? Just to get more confirmation. I'll be like, oh my god, you're treating me. What are you trying to do? Like, oh my, why am I feeling like this is some this you got some like feminine power. What are you doing? I'll make a joke about it because I'm trying to see her angle, right? And this isn't me like, oh my god, like you're so nice, thank you. No one treats me this way ever. This is me kind of like playing around with it, right? I'm just like, oh my god, like there's almost like a it's almost like I'm testing to see if it pings on her radar now, right? So it's like a bouncing back and forth. She's trying to ping me and I'm trying to ping her. But then in doing the pinging on each other, it's like we're both signaling to each other that, okay, like I'm good, you're good, we're good together. And without actually saying anything like out
Yeah.
loud.
Yeah, and because there's no need. You get it from just the vibes, the energy type of stuff. Um,
Like it goes back to like the fucking indirect communication, the information that's being purported without actually saying it, right? Because if I imagine like I said like, hey, so I am trying to deduce whether or not you are trying to play games with me, right? If I said it like
yeah,
that, then she's gonna be like retard alert,
yeah.
like what the fuck, so
Because technically, she's kind of like, I know this term has been overused and sometimes for the wrong reason, but in a way, especially if you take into consideration relative terms, her being nice is almost like close enough to her love bombing you, you know.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But she does that with subtlety. And the thing is, if you're a guy, right, and you okay, that's great to know, like on the receiving end. But what do I do on my end, right? Like, and there's two ways. For me, I like to really know the. I like to test where a girl's at by kind of like giving a bit of like vulnerability bits type of shit. And I want to see if she's gonna weaponize that against me, if she's gonna feel that she's gonna basically go she's gonna try to one up me or stuff like that. Then I'm like, all right, for I can basically, if I want something a bit serious, I was like, oh, that girl's, I'll do that. But if I want to um to engage her, right? I'll expose myself more in my interest, right? My intent. And then, but I must do that. But you have to do that from a position of perceived strength, in the sense of you must be able to feel or see that she values you one way or another. And in order for you to get there, you have to go indirect. Because as you were talking about your
I love
example,
that.
yeah.
I love that. I love that. I love that. It's like what you said just now is sort of like expressing intent or interest when you're at the high point, if I'm understanding you correctly, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Uh,
not necessarily at the highest point, but when you know that there's enough
there's enough
um
leverage, you have enough
buy-in, yeah.
buy-in. Yeah. Like it doesn't have to be like the apex, right? But it's like you can get a feel for when and it depends on what kind of escalation, what kind of intent you're expressing forth as well, right? Because then it's like it's almost like different stages require different buy-in. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Hmm.
getting
Yeah.
her to undress herself is a different buy-in than, you know, getting her to pull. And then or that's also a different buy-in from getting her to reveal, more personal information about herself or like saying that she's hot or like saying she's cute, right? They're all different levels of escalation that require different levels of buy-in for you to for you not to get away with it, but for her to engage in it. And then it's often like the guys, you can tell when a guy is inexperienced or he's like distorted when he rushes that process or when he doesn't understand the dynamic. Like if he's doing it too fast or if it's taking too long to do it when he already has the buy-in. And it's more so like you want to gauge. This is why it's like important to gauge, the timeline and like the energy level of the current moment. And then that's actually a lot of in my opinion, that's a lot of value for the girl. Like aside from like money, status, looks or whatever, but your emotional cognition of like that moment, like it's like a demonstrative of how smart of, in a sense that's value too, right?
Yeah.
How experienced you've been with women. Do you get laid? Does the girl feel comfortable around you? Because then she's gonna roundabout think like, okay, like if he's making me feel this type of shit, then he's probably making other bitches feel this type of shit too, and that means that he's in demand, right? So it's a very indirect way of displaying value. And the best part is that it has, it has nothing to do. This part like is in your control, like just your behavior. So it's not, money or anything else.
Yeah, it's like, look, I said we all like everybody pay, every guy's pay, right? But we're just arguing our currency under which we pay. It's
Yep.
like it could be
Yep.
fame, game, money, status, whatever. Uh, but yeah, it and the older you get, the more it becomes costly per unit of money, or per unit of game, or per unit of because you do not have the same leverage holding everything else equal outside, like on every other aspect outside of your age. And if you're not that aware of it, make sure at the very least that you've got things to compensate. But when you're in your 20s, and even in your early 30s, yeah, game will basically be a massive value add for, I mean, especially if you're looking for short term. And even if you're thinking about long term, uh, to manage a relationship, it's important.
Oh, super important. I don't know if you want to get into that, but it's like,
Oh, we can go into that. We can go into that, yeah.
but it's like just to go back for a quick second. It's like you said, like, when you get older, because I'm not unk yet, so it's like I'm
No,
still
it's fine.
so,
It's
but
all
it's
right.
yeah, but it's like I feel like the same. It goes back to understanding the dynamic, right? Because like if you're older, I'm assuming that they're gonna have different expectations of who you are in terms of like you having your shit settled, having your shit handled already, right? And then also it's like you have less, in a way, like less leeway for game to stand out as much too, because then it's like by that point, everyone, more people is expected to be more like normal too, I guess.
Yeah.
Or do you mean something else?
I mean more from a perspective of like, say if you want to go for 20-year-olds, right? Say you want to go for 20-year-olds and you're like mid 30s, late 30s, hashtag me. Um, is you'll be given less attention.
Yeah.
You'll be given less attention unless you work under environments that are already pre-selecting a certain setup, right? And that's something, and I need to actually answer like a post that the Spectre did about being paywalled. I've noticed, and that's something also was talking about with a friend from the US, that like a lot of the eights right now are already gone, like being secluded in specific areas. They already are curating their world so much that you only find them in specific places. You rarely find them outside. And it's like, and when I went to a few venues with some people, I had access to that, right? Because now I don't really go out as much. I was like, whoa, there's an overpopulation of them. But like, if I go out on an everyday street, like I barely see them at all. So
Yeah.
literally, it's like, yeah, you can get the crumbs of them. Is, oh, I managed to catch her at the grocery store, or I managed to catch her just before she took a cab because she ain't taking the tube, or I mean the metro. so so it's like you find
Yep.
yourself in a situation where everything is already. It's almost like the Hunger Games. If you're not in the right district, you're fucked. And
Yeah.
and what I'm saying is, it's like, okay, well, if you're not operating under those environments, like the importance of game becomes much more like the cost of game, I mean by that, the cost of you not knowing it becomes extremely more costly because your opportunities are much narrower. You know, and on top of that, you're not as attractive as you were in your late 20s or even your early 30s. Because a girl in her 20s, you know, if she goes with a guy late 30s, 40s plus, it's mostly for money unless she has daddy issues. That's really
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It's that you just have less cards to play at that point. Like there's less. So like you said, the margin of error, especially because you have less opportunity. You know, like you said, it's it's less girls that are interested in you, and then it becomes sort of like game is more necessary. Like you have less opportunities to fail.
Yeah. And even then, even when you met with her, it's like your leaks are gonna be way more
Exaggerated. It's gonna be way more
exactly.
exaggerated. You have less of a halo effect, So it's like
Yeah.
she doesn't see you as like that's the thing. It's like that's like if you're that's like when we're going back to like the different tiers of guys we're talking about, right? Like tier one, tier two, tier three. Like the lower the tier you are, the more the more tight your game has to be because your behavioral mistakes won't be forgiven as easily. Whereas versus like if you're Chad or like 6 feet plus or whatever, you still requires game. You can't be like a complete doorknob, right? But it's like
Yeah.
it's more forgivable. Like there's a guy that's making the rounds on the internet. Like oh, is it like I don't even know we mentioned it, but it's like the sales influencer with her the guy that just got engaged. I don't know if you are
Mm. The sales influencer? What do you mean, corporate
the
guy or something?
nah. There's this girl that just got engaged with this guy, and he's like a Chad, so he's like good looking, he has money, but then like a lot of guys are saying that he's super feminine, that he doesn't have
Oh, hold on.
masculinity.
Isn't that the alpha? The alpha, the fitness YouTube guy?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen it. Like they're in the roller coaster type of shit.
Yeah, so it's like the perfect example, right? Like you can tell in the video that the girl's obviously like, a little bit turned off, like distasted about, his behavior and his actions. But because he has so much of these other things going for him, he has more leeway for these errors, right? Versus like if you have less of that halo effect or other things working for you, that behavior margin of error is so fucking small. Like like you
Yeah.
cannot afford to fuck up.
Yeah, no, man, like I'm not even sure that basically it's that great behind closed doors because like
Yeah, it's probably
if you,
not, man.
it's like she's maybe
But At
you know
least, at
like
least she gets. It's like it's almost like the glue of the relationship is the fact that she gets to post him and like feel validated that she got this guy to that she got this supposed quote unquote on paper high value guy like under wrapped around her fingers, right? But that's like the value that that's a value exchange, right? But for like the lower tier guys, she doesn't get to brag about you, right? So it's like, then it's like her sticking with you, the glue then has to be really your leadership and everything else, or else like you know, you might as well pack it up and go home.
yeah, no, that's yeah, I see that, and I think that's a great segue when when you think about it, with everything that's to do with looks maxing and like those guys be like, ah, game doesn't matter, it's looks max and all that, and it's like, and it's quite funny because I was like obviously you think of like the extreme case like clavicular, right? Like that guy, that young guy that's done everything,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, man.
But like then I made a tweet about looks maxing and people starting to go on me like, I mean, it's just like bloody hell, why everybody's so fucking uptight on that shit? Some people say to me, "Oh, it's just basic shit." I'm just like, "What do you mean? Like, just lose weight and take care of your hygiene, dress well?" I'm like, "Yeah, nigga, that's normal, right?" Like, I'm like- it's like that's called the basics. It's like, yeah, but like, no, our parents didn't teach us that. I'm just like, bloody hell, well, your parents did, but like, and then you have like those people that'll be like so like doing all this crazy shit because they become women. In a
Hmm.
way, social media has actually groomed them intellectually to look for the female gaze the way women have been trying to attract the male gaze, because they want to feel chosen. They feel like, yeah, yeah, like, and also the digitalization of communication has made rejection much softer. Therefore, it's almost like, let me create a landing page for myself, whether it's my social media, whether it's my dating profile whatsoever, and let me
Yeah.
attract through top of the funnel as many girls as possible. Therefore, it's like optimizing your marketing strategy through looks maxing. But it's like, now that the image has become everything, the substance had become nothing. And it is, and they'll be like, okay, well, great. I finally get the girl. I went from transparent to non-transparent, but guess what's going to happen once you get the girl? Going to happen the same thing as that influencer.
Yep. Yep, yep, yep. It's like you said it perfectly. What you just say, it was like once the image becomes everything, the substance becomes nothing. That's a fucking bar. You can put that in a rap song. But it's like you said, man. It's because like when it's like I guess like if we run it back to nature, if we tie it back to nature, right? It's like the the guys who got girls in a natural way before the digitized landscape were the guys who developed certain behaviors and qualities outside of their looks, right? It's like back then it was less about looks and more about actually being able to charm the girl in person or pursue the girl in person. So it was more about like learning social behaviors and learning certain qualities like virtues even, right? But then now because all of that has now become sidestepped through social media, through swiping. Everything has become more surface level and shallow, and then it's like what the top of the funnel is where most guys get stuck at. And then they're like, okay,
Hmm.
I just want to do the top of the funnel. I just need to get the date. Like, what do I say? What do I text? What do I pictures? What do I need pictures? Like, what kind of pictures, right? And they're only trying to get the date, but what most people aren't really thinking about is that when they're on the date, a lot of these other
Hmm.
shit still applies, right? And then even more so once you get into the relationship. But nobody wants to hear that.
No. Hey man, you want to play game on hard mode? Good luck. I'm telling you, it's a lot of pain. It's a lot of pain. You think just pulling chicks to just have sex with them is easy. Good luck with managing one,
Yeah,
because it's just,
yeah, yeah, man. It's like these guys are talking about game, have I pulled these chicks, right, or whatever. But then it's and it's like you had the perfect quote for it. I think you sent it to me before. It was like
no,
in relationships is like twice the cost of game, but like you get none of the benefits or something
uh,
like that.
no. It's like, being in a relationship is working twice as hard to get sex than prior.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Fucking hell, man. Fucking hell.
But hey, life is full of ironies, right? So you gotta make sure that you you don't take things too seriously, otherwise you'll get too depressed.
That's actually a good segue. This was something I wanted to talk about before. It was like guys have they have friction against learning game because they're like, oh, I got to do so much work. I got to do so much work, right? Do so much work for the girl. But then the way I almost see it is like, it's almost like starting the business is like the front end is always going to be a little bit more effort based. But it's like the benefit of the business is that on the back end, once you have everything set up, it's like happy days, right? Like you said, it's happy days, right? It's like easy shit. You don't have to like exchange as much time for money. Then it's like everything becomes more of a magnet and it's coming towards you, right? And I see game in the same way, in the sense that like now it's like once I learn game, it's like do you like when me and you go on a date, like you're not like you said, you're caveman, right? Like I don't even fucking think I I don't even fucking think about what I'm doing, right? I'm not thinking about push pull. I'm not thinking about, oh, what does she view me? I'm not thinking about, oh, do I have frame here? You know, even though I'm like very like aware of the dynamics that's happening around me, it's like it's not it's awareness isn't effort, is like I guess what I'm trying to say. Like once you know what it is happening, it's literally it's like you earned the right to be yourself because all of the other landmines, you already know where the fuck they are. And then you're just kind of like, you're chilling, right? You're fucking putting two fingers into a cocktail and flipping the girl off. And then like you could like, like it's like, you know, but it's like to get to that point is like where guys, have an issue with. Like they want to skip all the way to the ending without having to, do the beginning.
Yeah, it's it's quite funny because it's like, even though sometimes, and we're talking about the doubt voice and the confident voice. It's like, there's something in my head be like, something's off, but I don't like to think too much. I just go. You may think I love to think. I love to think when I'm not in the action, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
same,
start
same,
brewing.
bro,
Yeah,
same.
that's why I post long fucking intellectual masturbation piece. Point being is, it's like when you go on the day and you have the experience, it's like you feel something, you can't really explain it. It's almost like the aggregation of all your experience be like, or like if you're on a sales call, if you're a sales guy and you're like, you don't even need to hear something, you feel the energy from someone and you already know what's going to be happening
Yeah,
next.
yeah, you're extrapolating the future, right? The way I see it is almost like it's like if you are a spectator for playing the game of basketball, you're gonna see the game from a spectator view. But if you're playing the game of basketball, you're gonna see like the defender's leading foot. You're gonna see the look on his face. You're gonna see him like changing his. You're gonna notice all of these like tiny microscopic details that may seem like nothing to all these other guys, but when you see it, you know you can drive, you know you can step back, you know you can shoot, like or like in a sales call, you know the deal's in the bag, right? But then these other,
Yeah.
but when you don't know, that's when like you fucking focus on all the wrong shit. You scramble, you don't know what the fuck to do, and then you overwhelm yourself, you overthink, and then you shoot yourself in the foot vibe wise, and then you back it up, you go home like fucking
But
so smart.
you have to go through you have to go through through those failures. Those failures are reference points, and then you're like, okay, well, fine. Then, like, like, uh, I know what to look for. At least I know what not to do. Which is, really, when you think about it, game to me is 80% not fucking up. 80% of just shit you need not to do. That's pretty much it. So if you already got 80% out of the way, you're going to increase your result by 50%. At
Hmm.
the very least, I think, like,
Yeah,
get
for
80% of the, yeah, go on.
I was gonna say, yeah, from most guys, it's literally about not fucking up, right? It's just like, because like a lot of guys in the dating market, it's not that they're literally like, autistic, or they have some like striving goal to be the next, RSD nation, right? They just want to get, a girl, right? I mean, if that
Yeah.
is your goal, then right, it's like you don't need to do much shit. Just be fucking normal, right? That's all. It's like the bar is so low nowadays that girls are just like,
Yeah.
I just want it to be normal, right? But then game is almost like it's like if the car is fine, then you can just fucking drive the car. Like don't fucking crash the
Yeah.
car. That's it, right? But then like the thing that it's like if you want to get fucking psychological about it, it's like game is like lifting up the hood and rejigging the fucking engines and the transmitters and all that fucking bullshit, right? It's like knowing like behind the scene what is actually happening. All the things it's like I think we one time I remember if I remember correctly, we spoke about like push and pull, and it's like
Yeah.
a normal cool guy does that naturally, doesn't need to think about it, right? But then if you go into the social dynamics of what a push and pull is, it's like the autists would like myself, like when you first start, you get that shit wrong, right? It's like you make it weird because you're trying to mess up nature. But then once you get it, but it's like so to accurately describe the social dynamics of what is happening and why it fucking works is is really game, right? But it's like then it's like you're becoming like, unless you were like autistic like me, you don't need to do that, right? Like you just fucking drive the car. Just don't crash.
The, think about it this way: game is just applying the stuff that works on girls you're not interested in on girls you are.
Yeah.
Because the push pull, you do that with a girl you're not even interested. It's like
Yeah.
you do the pull, you do the push because you're not really interested in her, and you do the pull because you're polite. That's
Hmm.
really it. That's really it. And it's like, oh well,
Even with
Uh,
even with your friends, bro, it's just like you're not gonna if I say something silly French, you're gonna be like, oh, bruv, you're like, bruv, you could like tease me or whatever, right?
yeah,
That's normal, right? Like if you're a normal
yeah.
cool dude, that's what you'll do. But then like with when it comes to the girl, all of a sudden then it's like your brain locks up. Cause then it's like, oh my God, now she's like this angel. She's gonna fucking give me the children. It's like the guys are already like thinking about the marriage and about the
Yeah.
family when they're on the date. Like, oh, she's gonna be the mother of my children,
Yeah.
right? And then it
That's the thing.
snowballs down.
Because guys are goal driven, and it's like it's a tight thing to manage when you think about goal driven, right? It's like, of course, you're not on a date for this pleasure of just being on a date, even though you should start a date like this because then it actually makes you feel be chill, right? But like, if you function on the idea that you need to get from point A to point B at the end of the day, it's like put pressure on yourself and then you fuck it up, right? Because it's like you cannot be in the moment, you cannot put the focus onto the dynamic, onto the date. You're
Hmm.
focusing on your goal, right? So it's
Yeah,
kind of like the same thing as a girl with her agenda, and it feels like shit, right?
yeah, 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 yeah,
So it's like, so you start with that, okay, fine. Then it's like, say you get lucky, you get with a girl, she does it, you've not managed to ick her out on the way. Great. Thing is, then what? Then, you must not be like this kind of like, as you were saying, autistic guy that is kind of like just tunnel vision on her onto his goal, because you treat her like a robot, right? Like, she can't be doing that. Because at the end of the day, she won't be appreciated, and then she'll basically bounce and be like, "Who's this loser?"
yeah. I think also with game, what happens is that the timing is usually off because the guy is so focused on like what he has to do, like what is the line, what is the routine, that it doesn't match the current scenario. And once there's that
Yeah.
misalignment, that's when the entire date starts to feel contrived and it's cooked. Right. So the
Yeah.
girl's like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like we weren't now he's asking me about like the strawberry fields test. Like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Like, he's asking, like, we were talking about, me having a fucking older brother, then all of a sudden now he's like, it doesn't match, right? And it's because the guys are thinking too much. They're detached from the moment at hand, and they're thinking about what they need to happen next. Because, like you said, they're goal oriented, right? So then they're like, okay, like, okay, I fucking I asked three personal questions about her. Now I'm gonna qualify her. Now I'm gonna you know now
It's
now
like,
I'm gonna push pull her. Now I'm gonna pull her chair out. It's like,
they just they want, what's so funny? It's like they just want their fucking guidelines, and it's like what they don't realize is that guidelines is useful, but it doesn't matter. It all depends upon the context, and it's like, and that the dynamic character of it, the reflexive character of it, is what fucks them up. But they feel they want to have that as a backup, as something to lead, because it's almost like, are you so uncomfortable and unconfident about yourself that you have no fucking personality, that you have to find a fucking PDF to follow through, right? I say this, but like, and here's a plug. I'm gonna publish very soon, like 3 different PDFs. I mean, I'm not PDF, but 3 different courses at the same time. I just want to get that out of the way. Look back to what you're saying upon have your business set up. The front end is, and then basically everything is chill on the back end. Well, I'm at that stage, so I know.
yeah,
But yeah, and it's like, it's good to have that. It's good for you for your own knowledge, but in the moment, let yourself go, let yourself be,
mm-hmm,
focus, be
mm-hmm,
present. It's
yep,
like that is actually what's going to help you. Um, and and maybe it's like it's how many times I've had this, which is quite hilarious, I find, and that shows exactly also why guys always fuck up. You know,
yeah, yeah,
is they come in, they feel something's off in their relationship, right? They feel something's off. They're like, "Can you help me?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not free." Right?
uh-huh.
Yeah. And you put the price tag, and they're like, "Nah." But before then, they already explained to me their situation, and and they're like, "Well, if it's not, the situation is full of red flags, right? Like they maybe pick up
Yeah,
on 10 or 20, 10 or 20%. They'd be like, it's not that big deal, right? It's just kind of like, I'm a bit worried, but it's not that big deal. It's like, oh no, you're too expensive. I'm like, all right, your relationship is too expensive. Then they come back later, and it's like, how can I save this shit? No, well, it's too late. And it's kind of like they don't understand until it's too late. And it's like, it's like, it reminds me of that time when I was selling cybersecurity. You know, it's like people don't want to buy cybersecurity. They think it's too expensive until after it's until after they get like a spyware ransomware or they lose a
Yeah.
fucking millions of dollars.
It's more about preventative rather than,
Yeah,
solving it when you're actually sick. But I wanted to touch back upon, like,
yeah,
you said, oh, now I'm like glitching, bro. There we go.
yeah,
It's see, I was too like too in the moment, and then and then I had too much of an agenda myself, like in the podcast. Like I was trying to focus on the topic, and then I lost, because
yeah.
it was
No
like,
worries, no worries, no worries.
it's like, but this is like exactly what happens on a date, right? It's like when you're too
Yeah,
focused on what it is that a point or like a line or a routine that you want to do, then in that same way you lose kind of like your connection to the present moment, and then
yes,
you lose that spontaneity, that energy, right? And that was like a perfect, full circle moment, because I lost the train of thought because I was gripping too hard in an idea. But
yeah.
then once I reconnected back to the moment, that was the point in and of the point, right? It's like, don't grip too hard. It's like the the structure and the game, like, yes, study that shit if you need something. And I personally think I have a structure that I follow, but it's more like, it's not like a to a T, right? It's like, it's more like generalities. It's like the same thing as, like, there's certain conversations you would have with a stranger, certain conversations you would have when they're more, personal, and certain conversations you'll have when you're about to fuck her, right? It's like, it's it's very like, for guys who are like socialized properly, it's more like intuitive and it's a feel. But then the guys who, are too overthinking, they confuse everything, and then
Oh,
that's when
yes.
all the problems happens. Like, they go on a date and they think like, okay, now I gotta ramp up the heat like immediately. Oh, you just look so fucking good in that dress right now. You don't know what I want to do to you right now, right? Like if you said that within, like, I don't know, like, it depends, right? Obviously everything is like an asterisk. It depends,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Your
it
vibe,
depends.
whatever. But in general, like, if the guy like shows up on the date, they just sit down 10 minutes down the line, like, oh, you don't know what I fucking do to you in that dress. She's gonna be like, what the fuck? But like, let's say the combo starts like, okay, but like, you said like you like to be spontaneous, right? Like, what kind of spontaneous things have you done before? And then let's say, like, from that conversation it leads into more risque and shit, right? And then
Yeah.
maybe she initiates it. Maybe she's like, well, yeah, you like that jacket, like, that jacket makes you look big, but I want to see like what's underneath it, right? And then you could then correspond, and you could be like, okay, well, take off this jacket, but then, you don't want to, you don't know what I want to do to you after that, after you take off my jacket, right? It's like quid pro pro, because you already know she's accepting that frame, that moment, right? You already got the green light, right? And in that sense, it's more so like there's an energy match, and the timing of that portion in that date makes sense for you to now bring out that kind of energy, whereas it didn't make sense, like fucking 5 minutes.
But what's interesting in your date sequencing is also about the timing on on the subject that you're talking about, right? It's kind of like
Hmm.
you can go into risque subject, but at the same time, is a risque subject too early in the day? Have you got enough buy-in to go in there? And sometimes you've got enough buy-in. Why? Because it's like she's very touchy with you or whatever, but like you can feel just from the body language that she's like, yeah, she's on like, like real on type of shit.
Hmm. Hmm.
But like, if you feel that she's some introverted dork or whatnot, I don't know, I'm exaggerating, but just for argument's sake, going in there, you feel like it's almost as if you sent the average girl to a BDSM party. She ain't
Yeah,
gonna
you freak
feel
her out.
comfortable about it. Yeah, exactly
You
right. So
spaz out. She's gonna run away, bro.
yeah, so which is quite funny because going back to the day I was telling you about, the one that was quite inexperienced, I thought that she was one of them fucking ran through slags. And I went on full on mode, like, like, like it would be one of them when actually she wasn't. And she was like, at the same time, it was like, she was very, because I remember she was telling me like she had 2 dates with like 2 guys, but they were like kind of like too soft, too nice, type of shit.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was like the complete opposite end of the spectrum. What was interesting in that one was I completely was not calibrated whatsoever because of the original misread from the archetype. But still, she complied, but she didn't go at my fucking full throttle pace, right? She complied to a certain to what she could comply of. Um, but like it was, but the lesson in this was it's better for you to be too uncalibrated on the aggressive side than on the
Yeah,
non-aggressive side.
yeah. It's better because you can tailor back, and it's easier to come back from like too much F boy to more normal versus like if you're starting below that line, then she's already gonna categorize you like the other 2 days. You know, she was like, oh, they were too nice, right? And then she didn't
Mhm,
see them anymore. But then you were like too far. But then after, and you tailored it back, and she saw you still, right? So it's like, um, yeah, it's. I think what's important here, something that I like to tack on, is like learning how to ping. So like, no, you know, Angel had like a different definition, pinging radar, right? But for me, it's like
mhm,
when I say ping, I mean like to test where the girl is at. Like, so it's like when you get enough experience, you'll at a certain point know through feel, and you obviously if she's touching you, that's like the obvious tell, right? But even aside from that, like the way that she contributes to the conversation, you know, the way how much eye contact she's giving you, if she's like looking away, things of that nature. And even aside, it's just more of a general feeling. But then before that, it's like it's also really good to learn how to ping like where the girl is at, right? So like if let's say I want to test to see if she's down with more like risque shit. I might negatively escalate if that makes sense. I'll be like, man, you better stop talking like that. You're gonna make me think like bad stuff. Like stop that, right? It's like
mhm,
I'm saying stop that, but at the same time, I'm leaving that door open for her to go like, oh, so what do you want to talk about? You know, it's like I'm giving her an opening to kind of like move forward towards that risque area, while at the
mhm,
same time I'm not actually technically escalating. So she's like, what are you talking about? Like if I know she's not ready, then I'll be like, you're the one that's fucking doing that shit, blah blah blah, and then you know, then it's like I don't
mhm,
lose like you know like leverage. But it's like things of that nature where I like to do these pings through the date to see. And then it's like it's just basically like a check. Like are you there yet? Without actually having to, you know, put my neck on the line.
You see, for me, I'd rather go fucking in the dark, man. I'm like, just like, I'm just completely like, see,
Yo
that's even
ass
too technical for me.
yo ass likes to spray and pray. You're like FPS motherfucker.
No, it's just fucking like, I'll give you an example. I'll make them feel ashamed of how they feel, like how they of what they're feeling like, in the sense of like, I'll shame them into being prudes. I'll shame them. I'm like, oh, it's like you've got your what do you call it? I forgot the fucking term. Oh fuck me. Oh, you gotta get back home at 11 for mommy and puppy, huh? You know, stuff like that. Shit, like just basically make them feel like they're like little
Like little
girls type of
girls,
shit.
like they need a
Yeah,
bedtime,
so
right? So it's like
their
then
bedtime. Yeah.
you're stacking the favors to forget for them to flip the other direction.
You know, so it's like the thing is, it's kind of like I don't even think about it. It's kind of like they're already boring me, and it's not so much about what I say, but it's almost like the carelessness that I say it with,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense of like, don't like
It's
like
almost
I'm losing interest, but I'm not
yeah,
saying I'm losing interest, but like the tone is kind of like I'm losing interest, and it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
if they're bored enough, they may review it. If they're not, then that's fine. I'm not wasting my time, and I'm like just move on type of shit.
yeah.
And that's the thing. It's kind of like dates to me feels like underwhelming experience regardless. So that's why I'm kind of very. I try to make it as fun as possible for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, for example, I made an article for Substack about my 2025 year in review, right? And and I look back, right, and I think I had about strike rate of 33% or something, right? I really, if I calibrate and if I played everything right by the book and all that shit, could get what 60 to 80% of that closed, right? But really, what would have been the point? I did that not because I enjoyed myself. I did that because I was on a mission for the gods of games, right? I'm too old
Yeah.
for this shit. So
You're
it's
you're you're
like,
in a you're in a different stage, right? You're more so
uh,
like seeing what's in alignment with you, and it's not so much as worrying about the income as the outcome as it is like well, actually the income. Now you worry about the income, you know?
you're talking about something. I can't talk about that shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we can't talk about that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just it's just like a different stage, right? Whereas like, I'm just trying to get the guys, past that green level, wanting to, get to a more intermediate where they can actually start having more, choices, and then they can kind of work through the alignment. But then actually, I think this would be a good question to ask you too, bro. It's like, what
Mm.
do you like? Do you think I guess like the value that is brought from the authenticity and alignment is larger or more effective than sometimes certain like game structures, do you think?
No, I'd say Altor is right. Like, and that's on the point that I'd love to talk about is the idea between performativity and authenticity, right? Authenticity brings you more satisfaction once you truly know yourself, right? It really gives you, but in terms of short-term result, it doesn't give you as good a result as performativity. Um, and let me explain, right? It's about if you can in the delivery um portray what you know is going to be she's going to be responsive positively to, i.e. you're congruent in your delivery, you're going to get more on average. I mean, my personal experience is you're going to get more positive response. Why? Because it matters less whether or not it's aligned with you. It matters more if it's aligned with her, right? And depending upon where your personality lies, and my I don't think mine is very positively aligned with women in general. Uh, the authenticity bit basically is not as powerful as a performativity bit. Like, for example, if I look at like the shit that I managed, the shit that I pulled when I was doing some toxic shit, like fucking crazy, fucking mental, like the level of leverage, level of this. But at the end of the day, what I did that for was for the wrong reason, in the sense of, and that's what they felt. That's what they realized afterwards. Like, I had great pulling power, but I was just like a little kid that wanted to be loved, type of shit, right? And all of the short-term benefits didn't yield anything long-term, right? And what happened in the chameleon days, it was more about, okay, I'm gonna try different archetypes and see which one's gonna work the best. And I realized that actually one of the archetypes that aligned the most with me didn't necessarily work the best. Worked good enough for me, because at the end of the day, it became less about the result than it became about, did I enjoy that experience? And as part of game per se, right? It's like, as a personal development tool, what is good about that is that it actually, when people say, "Oh, like it's so much work," don't you want to actually work on knowing about who you are?
Mm-hmm.
Because it goes beyond sex. It goes beyond woman. It's
Yep.
actually,
Yep.
use woman as a mirror for you. Not saying that woman will define you. Not saying that you will. How do I say that they hold the philosopher's stone? No, they don't. Uh, Hell no, they don't. It's not because they respond well to you that you're actually a better person. No, I'll tell you something. They respond the best to me when I was one of the cuntiest person.
Yep.
The point, and I don't like to be a cunt. So it's like, but through looking at different personas, different archetypes that I had to adapt myself to, I realized, well, actually, that person works well with me. That person doesn't. Oh my god, this is exactly who I am. But I didn't know that if I didn't try. And it's like, if you want to actually be having a stronger sense of self, instead of actually buying a ready-made persona, like you're buying some type of character, online or whatever, how about you discover that and use woman and getting laid at the same time as a byproduct of it? I mean, sign me up for this.
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
about you?
I feel like for me to go back to the performatism versus like the authenticity, I like to think about like how it's almost like, for lack of better words, how can you be authentic if you're an incel, right? Like you have because you know, being an incel, that's not your true persona. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have so many parts of your personality that's repressed. You have like trauma that's running you. You have beliefs about the world that's running
Hmm.
you. It's like if you were in an optimized scenario and you actually had choice, like you're not forced to eat like the fucking shit tasting ice cream, then you would choose like whatever ice cream you wanted, right? And
Yeah,
that's real authenticity. But for most guys, they're like, "Ah, I'm authentic. I don't want to, play around with game. I don't want to, change myself for these women." But it's like it's not even about changing yourself. It's more about unlocking who you're supposed to be, who you truly are. Like you're not it's like for the guys who are like angry at the world, it's like I see it as like friction against, like, in a sense, like hiding the anger towards themselves. Like, why
yeah,
couldn't I, you know, be different, or why couldn't I have something? Why doesn't the world make sense to me? Why doesn't the world, respond to me in a certain way? Why can't I love myself, right? And it's like you can't be authentic until you can get to a point where you actually have choice and you can actually love yourself, because otherwise it's cope, man. And then
yeah.
as for myself, right? I feel like every guy that goes like far in game to a certain extent goes follows like more of that same timeline where like you're first more concerned about the outcome, and then
Yeah.
as more time goes on, you're for me personally, I feel like game was for me was like discovering the parts of my personality that I enjoy, and I'm only using that part with the girl. Like if I don't feel like doing, it's like the benefit of game also is like if I don't feel like doing shit with the girl, I don't have to do shit with the girl, right? It's like I know what works, and I know like what works that makes me feel good at the same time.
Yes.
Right. So it's like that's when I talk to you about the win-win, that's what I meant. It's like finding like the piece of game. Like it's like we tried all the different chameleon, and we understood that there's parts that we liked and some parts that we don't. But I like to see game as like understanding my game controller, like the game controller of my vibe, of my personality, of my unique form of expression, like what works, right? And then going back to like you had a really cool chart that I saw this morning. It was like the different archetypes of guys, right? It was like the king, the warrior, the magician, and things of that nature. But it's just like the more you discover yourself, the more you can kind of like, okay, do I want to be the king? Yes, no. Do I want to be the magician? Yes, no. And then it's like you can never truly know until you like had a
Yeah,
taste, right? Like,
the thing is, it's like it's quite funny. I'll just pop up very quickly. The article is there are people there are how do I say, there are personas that's gonna be, that's gonna speak to you much more. Like for example, the Maverick is like the Joker. The Warrior is like James Bond in Casino Royale. The inventor is like Will Hunting. The magician is Neo. The king is King Leonidas. The strategist is Kevin Spacey. I mean, or Francis Underwood in like House of Cards. The Guardian is John Wick. The provider is Samuel Gamgee. It's like it's like what I'm saying is it's you realize that I use those movie characters as a way for people to kind of like anchor themselves a bit better.
yeah, yeah. This is to get a
And
better depiction of what you're talking about, right? The What that archetype
exactly.
is like.
I even make a fucking analogy for like by like like industries in the financial markets, and why they're linked to each one is linked to each industry. But I'll make a test as well for people to actually discover that about themselves, and be like, okay, well, once you understand what vibes where you lie, start basically playing to that persona. But more importantly, outside even of like game as a personal development tool. If you understand how people can game you, you cannot be gamed.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yes.
that's very important. Say you get yourself into a relationship and you don't like, and girls know very well and almost intrinsically how to manipulate guys. And
Oh,
it's like, and
yeah.
you so it's like, if you don't even know that, it is like, and you get, and as Warren Buffett said, like the most important decision that you're making in your life is, is the partner that you choose to be with. It's like, so you're telling me that you're having a mortgage without a mortgage insurance. Okay, well, good luck with that. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's
Exactly. And then guys like when it comes to like midlife crisis and divorces and everything else, bro, it's a fucking they get hit with a fucking 18 wheeler at that point, and then you're, it's like goes back to preventative versus like trying to find a medicine when you're sick or the insurance when you're actually like hurt, right? It's better to
yeah.
be preventative about it.
And that's it. And it's like people be like, but then you just like, to me, it's like, I hate selling. I fucking hate selling. I mean, I've been selling a lot, but like, I'm like my previous career and shit. And I was like, to me, it's like, if someone's not buying it, it's the same thing as with bitches. I'm like, if you ain't buying it, I ain't selling it. You do you,
Yeah,
bitch.
yeah,
You do you.
yeah.
Like, yeah, you do you. Like, it's like, just people. It's like, if people can't sort out their own shit, and it's like it goes well for men as for girls, right? They don't deserve the outcome they want. That's it. It's as simple as that. It's like, you came here and you became that person because you decided to be accountable for yourself, right? Okay, of course you wanted to at first basically understand what was liking about you, right? But in the process, you learned. You'd be like, okay, well, this is what I need to fix, this is what I need to fix, this is what I need to fix. And now you're getting better outcome for yourself, right? Like, it's like, for me, it's like, you're gone, sorry, gone.
I was gonna say, it's almost like I don't know if it's probably true for you too, but it's like the more I learned game, the more I enjoyed myself, the more I enjoyed my own life experience, right? Because like I knew what made me laugh, I knew what I enjoyed, I knew how to even like sometimes like even if you want to make something happen, like to have that level of influence is also fucking enjoyable, right? Like you know how to make shit work, and it's almost like for you to polish yourself and polish yourself through game, you're also ridding yourself of a lot of insecurity. So it's like when you walk into a room now, you're not immediately thinking about what other people are thinking of you. You're not really thinking outside in. You're more so like inside out, right? Like, people all like to have labels for this kind of stuff, like, oh, introvert, or all like I don't know, like anxiety, detachment. But like I'm fucking introverted, bro. Like I'm INFJ. But then it's like if you meet me out at a bar, you're not gonna think that I'm introvert. You're gonna be like, hey, this guy's fucking drunk out of his ass, even if I'm like completely sober, right? But it's like, cause nah, I'm so dead ass. Like when I go out, like I feel like the way like people only expect like vibiness from drunk people now. That's how that's how
Yeah.
that's how bad socialization bar has become. Like if you come across even slightly charming, they're like, oh, you've been drinking, huh? And it's fucking annoying, bro. I'm just like, like, no, like, why? Like, are you around such shit people that they don't have an ounce of personality in their fucking bones? Like, what are you? I don't know.
So many people are so fucking neurotic. That's what social media has done. So fucking neurotic. But it's like, look, I've seen myself, like, because over the past 2 years since I've taken this somewhat seriously, right? Is I've noticed that, I mean, I'm still good, right? Like, I'm still, like, I can easily pull my weight, but obviously because I'm not doing that as much, it's still, I know I'm not as like raw as I used to be. Um,
Because you're putting your finger in cocktails now.
well, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. Like, a friend of mine, um, a former client, invited me to this New Year's Eve party, right? And I was like, it's fine, kind of like, yeah, I'll do that, right? Anyway, few interesting lessons in that party, right? So I don't do night game as much, even though I fucking love it, because I just don't have the energy yet. I go in and I see this first blonde, like real fucking hot, and I'm like, man, she's with two girls that looks like nothing. I'm like, ah, fuck this. You anyway, but she doesn't give me time of day whatsoever, right? Whatever. I mean, like, she doesn't catch my eyesight. I'm like, all right, whatever. Uh, then there is like a brunette coming in. Both the hot blonde and the brunette wear a red dress. And I'm like, all right, and she had like massive tits, massive ass. I was like, yeah, now we're talking. Now we're fucking talking.
The black in you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But though I think I'm more of a tits than that guy now, but
Yeah,
who knows?
I need
Anyway,
them. I need them to be firm, man. Like even if they got big tits, if they're like saggy, I'm just like, ah, fuck it now. It's just
I mean, to be
no.
honest, I'm not even sure because it's like if you have like firm tits, like how do I say firm tits, but silicone, it doesn't feel the
No,
same as like natural.
I need them to be natural and firm, bro. It's like if they're droopy, I'm just like, ah, fuck it. Like, I don't know.
Well,
I'm weird, man.
I no, I can understand because from an optics perspective, it's not great when you feel like it's almost like they've given up on life, you know. The tits I'm talking,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
so, but then there was this young guy, 26-year-old, and I saw that brunette was a big tits and big ass, like literally giving him the deer eyes, and I was like, all right, now I'm feeling like I'm basically playing second fiddle, but whatever. So I was like. The guy was like talking and he was kind of like very charming, very charismatic, everything. Um, I go, I go out, just get myself like a drink, and I bump into that guy. Right? He happens to be how do I call it? He happens to be naked butler, so like some type of striptease or like a striptease guy for a woman that are gonna go into gonna get married. Anyway,
I'm a hired
I get
pro.
it.
Hmm.
But anyway, I start getting his name whatsoever. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Then I use that and I pretend that he's my friend, right? Type of shit. So I go to see the girl. And it's like, hey, you met my friend Alexis, right? Alexis who? So she doesn't even know the guy, and she was literally like, I fucking him like motherfucker. I'm like, all right. Well, anyway, then I started shouting shit. I don't remember what the fuck I said. And she gave me her name, and she had like a friend of hers, and like that friend was like literally a land whale. I'm just thinking, oh, okay, great. I need to make sure that the future cock blocker, is not gonna, fuck me over, right? And I'm like, all right. So, you know, high point of the conversation, I leave. All right. Um, I go and meet my friend. I don't know. Then at one point, like, there's a good song, and I start dancing around her and shit because we're like around the table and shit. And we start chatting. Me and I see that the future cockblock friend, she didn't cockblock me, by the way. The future cockblock friend was busy with something, so I basically tell the girl, hey, look, let's grab some drink. We go up, I close her, like that type of shit. And then, but I could feel like she liked me, but it was kind of like, like you're good looking enough, I can entertain you, or like you got good enough game to entertain you, but like you're not the first guy, right? You're the other guy is the first guy. So I was like, doesn't fucking matter, I'm gonna use you. Because then basically I brought her back to the tables and shit. And then, funny enough, the other girl started getting the hot girl, the original hot girl, started to basically eye me out. But eyeing me out without trying to, like, I could feel like the eyes were on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes when someone eyes you out, but like you don't see them, but like you can feel it.
Yeah, Sixth Sense.
Sixth sense, right? And other girls as well. So I was like, oh, perfect. Perfect, right? So I didn't think it was going to lead to anywhere with that one, but at least but I used her as an anchor point where, like, okay, other girls saw me with her, therefore it's like I'm pre-vetted, right? But what was so funny was that girl, I ended up with a 20-year-old in the end, so it doesn't really matter, was that she was trying so hard to pretend that she was not interested in me, even though she was always placing herself next to me and always with her back next to me, right? And I was like, you know, and like, so the first time she was like, she ended up like stepping on my foot like when she was dancing, and she had heels and shit. I was like, I said to her, "Hey, look, you don't need to step on my foot if to say that you fancy me, right?" And she was like, "What? I don't fancy you," and all that type of shit. And then I was like, and then I said to her friend, like, "Does your friend know how to lie? Because she's really a poor liar, right?" And they're kind of like giggling and shit. Anyway, I kind of like leave her later, right? Leave her later. Then I start dancing with that 20-year-old. And then I can see she's again looking at me. It's like, don't you? And it's like, don't you fucking realize that you're playing hard to get is only making me go to other women, right? And then I leave that 20-year-old, and I'll just go out, just take a piss. I come back, and then she, and then I can see that, like, I look away, right? I look away because I expect her not to look at me, right? And then at one point, I just look straight back to her and I cut her eye. I was like, busted, bitch. I knew. I knew. I fucking knew. And then I go there, right? I go there and I ask her, and I say, and I say, miss me? I didn't miss you, but I could tell that she was smiling. But I was like, but like this all back and forth. I was like fucking tired of this shit. Like, I'm too fucking old to play that dumbass shit. It's like, I don't have that energy anymore. And it becomes a burden. It really becomes a burden. And it's like, and you find a lot of this type of shit happening. And I forgot even the reason why I was telling you that story, but like, yeah, that night game, that chaos, that stuff, that's why I was based in. It's like, that's why. And and that's why a lot of those dates feels a bit underwhelming to it. But at the same time, I know that I'm kind of like literally going off it, and that's me not being drunk as well, because I don't
Yeah,
drink anymore.
man, I miss. It's like, do you miss night game at this point? Because you said you don't really go out that much.
Yeah,
Like at this
I've
point.
not been out. Yeah, about the past year or two, I've not been going out that much. I mean, like table service has kind of like killed like the natural environment of night game. Like it was a table service then, and um, it's like the music was so fucking loud. It's like you have to
Yeah.
kind of like get out of that. And I
Is
just don't have the
is
energy.
it is
Yeah,
this in London?
yeah, it's in London, and yeah, and that guy, and funny enough, that guy was kind of like, he basically started pulling like a lot of different chicks. It's fucking crazy, man. Like the guy was just on fucking fire.
The young one.
Yeah, the young one, and I was like, and I kind of like, it was kind of like the passing of arms. It's like, I was not like, I never had like that much amount of success on the night out, like just based on my looks alone, right? But it kind of reminded me that energy that I used to have that I don't have anymore. And it's kind of like, at one point you have to kind of like just, hang your boots, and you're like, you know what, up to the new gen. That's what I felt like. It felt like a passing of arms.
Torch. You're giving him the torch. Now he's
Yeah,
lighting up the
yeah,
thing.
yeah, exactly. So, you appreciate things, you look at it differently when you get older, and you're like, you know what, at my time it was fun. Night game is not the same, but I'm very much glad that I enjoyed the time when I think night game was almost at its peak or close enough to it.
Yeah. It's dying down nowadays. At least compared to where it was before. I'm curious though, like in London, do you guys bar hop or is it like one venue for the night?
For me, I used to like, if you know the good place where you can bar hop, you can do that. But like, to me, like I've always been more of a lounge guy than a pure club guy. I've been to a few in like high end clubs and shit. But like, I find bars better in general.
Yeah, to talk is easier, right? It's like,
Yeah.
but it's usually like for you guys, it's like, was it one venue? Like it's usually,
It's one or two. Like, for example, I would go a lot of time to the Net, then I'd go to Madison. Like, for people that knows in London, that's
yeah,
because that's where you find the type of girls that I like. So you need to know the type of girls you like in order to go there, right? I have another friend who goes in East London. And it's like Every time I look at it, I'm just like, I don't know if I put my dick there, it's like I feel like I'm gonna come up with fucking
The disease.
God knows what,
Yeah.
fucking warts or whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
I actually prefer like just to go on about dates versus night
yeah,
game, right? It's just like with night game, it's like especially if I go sober, even though I go sober, right? It's like a blur because like in New York, it wasn't like one venue for us. Like we because a lot of the other bars were like walking distance, so it was like chaos inside the venue and in the
yeah,
streets as well, right? Like going inside like sometimes like I'd burn through like me and my friends would burn through maybe like 10, 15, 20 sets inside a venue and they're like, okay, fuck this. We're like, no, seriously, like we'll burn we're it's like we'll burn through sets, and then like if nothing was hitting, then we'll hit the streets and then burn through some sets there and then go to a different venue and then
mhm,
maybe later on like go back, return to the other one that we were at, right? Because it was like in the beginning for us, or for me specifically, personally, it's like I don't really care as much in the beginning because it's like it's more pullable towards later on, where it's the
yeah.
beginning is like everyone's like just with friends, they're settled in, and everyone's kind of like anxious, and then it's like the second half of the night is kind of like when guys and
Nobody
girls are
gives a
just
fuck.
more like, yeah. But it was like the whole experience, it's like what you say, is like that chaos, that quick, that fast lightning pace, whereas like you don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, and then or like and then when you compare that to like a date, you're just like what the, like what the
Well,
fuck.
exactly. It's like, and one of the biggest problem a lot of night guys, game guys have in general is that the transition from night game to normal dates and shit. They're completely uncalibrated,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Mm-hmm.
was part of them.
Yep.
I was part of them. I was like,
Too
I
aggressive.
couldn't. Oh yeah,
Too
caveman, right?
aggressive. Yeah.
But yeah, because it's like, and I think, I mean, personally, at least, is that's what you resonate to. That's what your reference points are, and you're like, and you find yourself in situation like you go on dates with girl that like, and that was the day I was telling you about Angel. It's like with Angel, right? You go on a date with a girl, and you're like, you know that she's going to she's been partying hard, like you've been partying hard. You jokes about partying hard, right? And she's giving you that bullshit on the date, and you're like, oh fuck this shit, you know? That's how you just you don't want to be dealing with it. You're like, well, why are you just behaving like this right now? Like, just untighten your G string, like,
With me, the funny thing is that like I actually did day game before I did night game, funny enough. Like so it's like I enjoy both for what they are. So it's like with the night game, it was like chaos and the like with I recommend a lot of my, guys I coach or friends, like you got to if you want to get good with girls, like you should be night gaming because like it teaches you sort of like this instinct, right? It's like when there's a green light much easier. Like when the girl's giving you like fuck me eyes or when she's like interacting you with a certain way. It's like, bro, like you could have make like 3, 4, 5 makeouts in a night if you get good at this, right? So because like that kind of like it's like you're allowed to be more aggressive because of the nature of night game. And then in that aggressiveness, you learn how to calibrate within the aggressiveness. And then the girl's like, holy fuck, like this is like sexy, but then it feels safe at the same time. And it goes back to there's a I think Angel wrote an article. It's like about sexual tension and the bear trap type of shit, right? And
yeah, yeah,
it's the same concept where it's almost like you want to demonstrate that you got a lot of heat. You're a fucking volcano that's ready to bust. But then it's like at the same time, you're not like all over her and you're not like simping, or like desperate for her, right? And then there's like a tightrope balance between um value arbitrage in a sense, like knowing when to put on the heat versus when to take it away, and then learning when she's giving that like the first signs of that green light, and then being able to move fast, right? Because I've seen a lot of guys even in night game, like um they like I see them talking to a girl like for like fucking like 10, 15 minutes straight when it's like I can see the girls like already eye fucking him. The girl's like putting her hand on like his arm and shoulder. They don't do shit with it, right? And I'm just like a lot of times when there's like green signals there, like if you don't know what to look for, that unknowing is actually turning the girls off even more because here she is like fucking like trying to give you invisible signals of to move forward. But then when you don't run the play with her play, then there's that disconnect that kind of brings you back to square one. And then, it's just like I feel like if guys had like a stint in night game, maybe like at least a month, 2 months, 3 months. Like I was doing it, like if you do, you should do it straight, like immersed, and then I don't know,
Yeah, no,
but
no, no, because I don't know. I think you're right because it's like I think if you ask like if you were to look at if guys are too little aggressive or not enough too aggressive or not enough aggressive, the most of them are not enough aggressive because they don't know what they can get away with, and so it's like night game. It's kind of like it's like the gates of hell when it comes to that shit.
yeah, bro,
So it's like
is anything goes, man. Pandora's box. Like
that's
I'm,
it.
like, bro. It's like it's like this is like so. My friend group was like notoriously aggressive, and then it's like for the new guys, like we would have to if they come in, then like they see all of us doing crazy shit, like putting girls against the walls, having our, like having our arms or our hand around her neck, like within like
Yeah,
literally within like 3 4 minutes. Sometimes you gotta
yeah,
tell you gotta tell the guys like, oh, like like you can't do this unless it's like a fucking green light, or else like we don't want the guys like fucking like getting like booted by the security guard and known for that uncalibrated shit. But it's just to say like it's like night game, it just teaches you, it gives you that openness, like that fast-paced chaos, and where the girl's almost like in a environment where she feels like it's acceptable. So she lets that slut go and then she doesn't feel judged for it. And then it's almost like if you can garner that sort of frame within, if you can create that sort of bubble between the two of you, and she knows you're not gonna fold, she actually like the she goes like she falls in much more aggressively because of the aggressive nature of night game, right? Whereas like on a date, it's more so like calibrated, and it's more so like you got to operate within the normal confines of society, whereas night game is like more animalistic, and it's about like who can speed run the green lights fastest. And then it's like the better you are at it, it's
yeah, and
I don't know, it's a
uh,
meat show.
I mean that's it. Like that 20-year-old like had my bare like she so funny right? Tight skirt. I already had my hands under her skirt in a few minutes. The point being is it's like it's so funny because it's like I got her number and so I looked on WhatsApp and it's like and she had like some of those fucking baggy pants, almost like she shit herself. Fucking Gen Z man, like what the fuck is this?
I can't. I'm sorry, bro. That's a style. I don't even know. It's like they got that tube top with the fucking baggy jeans, right? It's like the.
No man, I'm telling you, I like that. Anyway, whatever. And the point being is, it's like then I go on a fucking date and I'm listening and I'm having to deal with the bullshit. I'm like, ah, fuck this. Like the thing is, if I look at the way, right? Because I know, for example, what you mentioned about Angel, right? I know he has an indirect approach. I'm a fucking battering ram, like when I'm on a fucking night game, right? I don't like give a fuck. And it's like, but I enable the girl to not give a fuck as well, right? I enable them to basically really let go and let the chaos, unravel. Yeah, that's going back to what I was saying to you. It's like you need an energy to do that shit, right? And you need to have that environment to play to it because when you go into a normal type of setup, you're like, oh, then I have to kind of like calibrate. It's like, yeah, I understand calibrate. I'm not saying it's bad, whatever. I just feel it's gay now, It's like, yeah. It's like, look, and that's why I'm like so, so I'd say intolerant and I wouldn't say impatient because I don't really care. It's just kind of like there's this really epistemic character about me where th- I hate contrivedness and the fact that you're on on a normal day, there's so much contrivedness in it compared to what I know if I'd put that same girl in a night game, what it would be.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah. It's like why do this whole song and dance if you're gonna be the other way? Like it just takes the entire value out of it, right? Oh, it's like yeah. Um, I was gonna say, with calibration, the funny thing is that sometimes by calibrating and stopping like the microsecond that you can sense the girl tense up, that actually makes the girl even more turned on because she knows that, like, going back to that bear trap shit, right? It's like she knows that there's so much heat, there's so much danger around you because at any point you can kind of unleash that that kind of energy, like unrestricted kind of like masculine leadership. You're down with the shits. She knows you want her, but at the same time you're holding that line. But then so it's like, this is what I want to talk about, is like the, like, it goes back to like complimenting, and we talked about like the girls feeling like they owe you something if they compliment you, or you feel like you're like they have access, like you have access to them if they compliment you, because it's like in the girl's head, it's always about, it's like half like excitement but then half like safety, because they know the guy is stronger, they know that the guy, what if he doesn't stop when she doesn't want him, or when she doesn't want it anymore. And then it's like with the bear trap analogy, it's like she's like the bunny that dancing over the bear trap over and over again. She's, oh my god, this is so fun. There's so much like dopamine. This is so much like fucking excitement, tension. She's fucking like showering with it, right? Because it's like so much masculine desire that she can like feel good around. And then, but then it's like she knows that it doesn't snap shut, because like what most guys do is that, like, when the instant they show that, this is like mind you, I'm saying all this in terms of like, if outcome is your goal, right? But if this is like not in alignment, this is not about authenticity or alignment. This is more about like me explaining the concepts, because it's like, from what I feel like, it was just a good opportunity, right? So then it's like, she's the bunny, she's hopping around that fucking dangerous trap. She feels so much danger, so much excitement around it. And then she also knows that you are so fucking calibrated that it's like she feels like super safe to play around that kind of environment. But then what ends up happening is that the more she plays around the bear trap, the more that she internally wants to get snapped by it, right? The more buy-in she's actually giving you. It's like she's actually turning herself on the more that she's around your heat, because she's like, oh my god, this guy, like, he can do shit to me, but at the same time he's not a simp. And then once like so once like she has enough buy-in, and then you like, and then once the next time she gives token resistance or playfulness or whatever, and then you fucking boot past it, it's done. It's like a done game. So it's almost like you want to by
I'll give I'll gi-
yeah.
I'll give
Go ahead.
I'll give a very quick analogy to what you're describing here. It's like edging.
Yeah.
It's like edging. Oh, it's like, okay, don't
Yeah,
get me wrong. I know
exactly.
exactly. Like, the thing is, it's, yeah, it's but like, and do you know something? If I'm going using the expression bear trap, right? Um, it increases attention much more than the fast track, the fast fucking battering ram approach that I do, for example. I know it does. Why? Because it's like you feel you're gonna have that release, but you don't have that release. You feel you're gonna have that release, but you don't have that release. And it's like, and more, and you, and then she basically is more and more invested in order to get that release, but you're not giving her that, right? Until
Yep.
you do, and it's like, it's great. But but at the same time, it's like, to me, it's
It's
not
like
about
it's
whether
not
it work.
yeah. It
It's not that it
yeah.
doesn't work. Yeah, of course it works. It's not
Yeah,
that,
that
and it's great from the girls' experience. And it's like, and it's showing as well, like, a level of empathy to basically, and maybe you like it, or maybe whoever uses it likes it, right? Um, but it need to resonate with you as well. It's
mhm.
like,
It's about
and
for you, it's about
yeah,
alignment, to go back to the
yeah,
alignment piece, right? But then there's like
but
the
it works.
yep,
Yeah.
it's like the outcome objective concept, and then there's whether or not you want to actually do it, right? Because like it's like if you've done it, like you said, like if you've probably done it like fucking dozens and dozens of times, and then like you've also had experiences where the girl's like, she doesn't need that, then you're just like, okay, what the fuck am I doing this, for? Like, it just feels more like I'm guessing like the way in your reality, that sort of like process would then almost feel the same as like the date, right? There's like it's that same process that happens, and then you're just like, why do I gotta do this process again? Why can't I just go, the battering ram way instead?
Yeah. It's like, no, because it's like, like in, you know, I at the same time I'm kind of like a tragic romantic, right? But at the same time, I'm like, it's like raw desire in its purest form doesn't hold back. Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to feel like I'm manufacturing her rawness of desire to lift up.
Yeah. So
Like, you see what I'm
yeah, yeah,
saying?
yeah,
It's like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess like I guess it's like the difference is, um, there is like if you felt genuine raw desire from a girl where you didn't have to put in that much effort, then it's like solidified, and that desire almost feels more genuine, right? It's like you didn't have to do anything for it, so you know that it came from her in its entirety. But then when you're manufacturing it, then it's sort of like, well, it doesn't feel the same. It's not that same kind of drug because you're the one that had to,
but
pull the
but
levers.
but you see, it's actually very interesting because I think here we touch on the subject, which is very much at the core of manufacturing attraction versus genuine attraction. And it's not to say one is not as good as the other or whatever. It's two different lens, right? It's like if you're on the epistemic lens, which is basically focusing on the aesthetic and on the genuine character of an outcome, is you have to look at it from a perspective of, is this something that I would have got if I didn't do it? And if his answer is no, then it's not worth it. Therefore, it's kind of like, I don't want to do it, right? And at the same time, you can be like, well, actually, I much prefer the one where I have to manufacture because I feel like it's more earned. I prefer the desire will be higher than the raw desire where she didn't have to work for it. So it doesn't matter whether or not it's genuine. What matters more is the intensity, manufactured or not, that I get because it's higher intensity than if I'd got it too easy.
No,
And
yeah,
really,
yeah, yeah.
so it's like, to me, it's more about the flow of the process and how genuine it looks. It doesn't have to be genuine, but as long as it create that genuine character inside my head, inside my narrative, inside the narrative in my head, that's good enough. It's not even good enough. That's what I want. But if I feel that I need to create that process in order to have something genuine, the fact that I had to create that process makes it non-genuine.
Yeah, so it's like so what I'm understanding is there is value in the genuine being naturally desired, and then there's also the level of desire that is being generated, whether it's manufactured or genuine, between the two. So it's like, I guess like what I'd ask you is, like, let's say you have two scenarios, right? Like, let's say like scenario one, it's more so like manufactured, but then the level of desire that ends up being created as the result is much higher than the other scenario, which is like the natural desire, which is like kind of still high, but not as high as the manufacturer. Which one would you value more than in that scenario if you had to choose?
I would choose the one that is actually not as high. Do you know why? And that's where I'm based. It's all about the narrative. It's
I
about, let me
well,
finish.
oh, go ahead.
It's to me, whenever I feel like I'm getting in, I'm becoming conscious on the process, like it takes me away. It takes me away. Or it's like, if it feels like it has been scripted, it's like, if I feel like I'm on the script and I'm doing something, then it takes me out of the vibe. Even though it's part of the vibe per se, personally takes me out of the vibe. And I'm kind of like. So it's like, to me, it's about the narrative that flows and it's frictionless. Whereas, and it doesn't matter as much that that it's high intense type of shit. It's like, I'll give you an example, right? I don't care so much. Say there's a porn stuff, right? I don't care so much about the quality of the fuck. I care about the premise. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so, I guess like the next question then I would ask is because I'm not disagreeing with you here. It's more so like I think the measure is what is really in alignment and what would you consider manufactured, right? Because like if the guy is like going back to if I say like my version of game is the win-win, like what do I feel like doing, right? Then it's because like then would you consider that like manufactured or is that like just a part of you and because you enjoy doing it, it just made you that much more attractive? Or versus like because then it's like if you have the two extreme ends, right? Like if the guy is like let's say like his personality is to be sulky. Like I was like, "Oh, I just want to be sulky. I don't want to do shit. Right. And then like I want the girl to like me despite the fact that, I'm not doing shit. Then it's like for his natural desire requirement, that girl would have to like him in spite of him, not doing anything to stoke the fire per se, right? But then it's like if the guy on the other hand is then like if it's genuinely like him to be goofy and to have fun, and then that's like he would do that with his boys, he would do that to his coworkers, like that's just who he is, that's how he likes to live. Then would that still be manufactured? You get what I'm saying? It's like
No,
at
no,
what
no,
at
well,
what
so
at what point does it become like
it,
you
man,
know?
it's very much personal. Like for example, say you using the bear trap stuff is something that you feel that aligns with you. It's like, does it feel manufactured?
So you're saying if it feels, yeah, it's like if it feels bad when you're doing it, like if you feel like a burden while you're doing it, if it's not fun, I feel like that's where I draw the line, right? Like if I feel
Yeah,
like I have to, then yeah, I think so. I think we're
like I was saying that less on a normal on a normative basis and pretty much of a personal preference. Because to be honest, really, what and to look back to the conversation we're having is like game lets you learn what your preferences are, so that you're not bound to the preference of others, whether it is your friends or whether it is a girl you're with.
yeah. It is like it is like choosing a weapon of choice, right? Like you want to have like a sword or you want to have the caveman fucking, blunt hammer, just
Well, you'd be laughing, but like there was a game, right? Like it's called like on Xbox back in the day. It's called Brute Force, and you had like four different players, and you're like one that was like let's say AK-47. You had one sniper. You had one like um like think of RPG type of stuff. Every guy had different type of out of the four people there was different type of weapon, and you actually learn which type of weapon you enjoy the most.
yeah.
It's like to me, I've enjoyed playing. I enjoyed being a sniper the most. So right. Even though I love being a battering ram as well, right? That's like goes to show. And same thing in game. You learn different tools and you understand. And it's like, and for example, my narrative approach to things is something that is not necessarily shared by that many people, but it's kind of like, yeah, it's just that's me. I love a good story. But what's interesting is I find that it, as long as someone makes it feel like it can be true enough, that's good.
You want the plausible deniability, basically. Like you want it to like feel like, and not even the plausible deniability. I feel like me and you are in agreement. Like if I am, let's say, especially if it's a girl that I'm like wanting more with, not just like I'm fucking around, not just because I'm learning game or whatever. Because it's like it's exactly like your point earlier, where you told me earlier where it was like um certain people's behavior divert back to like a normality, like a baseline point after the game or everything that you're running on them, after you stop doing it, their natural behaviors again become their natural behaviors. So then
Hmm.
if the game was not your genuine personality and then you find it a burden to actually continue to do those things, then your whole relationship is going to be based off of that burden, because
Yeah,
eventually you're going to build contempt, and then eventually she's then going to feel like, okay, like this is not what I wanted anymore, and then like her behavior, because you're not running the game on her again, it drops back to that baseline. So I feel like, especially to your point, like especially if you're looking for more relationship based instead of it being like a learning curve or more like a general perspective, it's more like a personal perspective, then having that genuine desire with not as much like contrivedness or misalignment runs so much more importantly than
But
otherwise.
even for something non-serious, even something like that, and that's another thing. You become very picky over time because you don't want to take too many risks with people that you don't really care. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, if like, I find some like, before we even recorded, right? I show you this, like you could tell the girl was really, really, really into me, right? The text exchange I showed you,
There's a lot of
like,
investment that she
yeah,
wouldn't
there
she
was,
would she wouldn't say
she
all
was,
that shit.
I know, right? There was like a lot of investment, and just one key stuff made me like, you fuck this shit, I'm out. Why? Because she broke the narrative coherence, and I didn't want something serious with her. It was because, to me, it's like I want it to flow in a certain way until from point A to point Z, and if there's no flow, then I'm just like, hmm, you know,
Yeah.
that's it. It just
It
it
it, it
feels, yeah.
I was gonna say, like, for you, it's almost like, if I'm not mistaken about this, it's like you entered into like almost like an agreement with a girl. Like there's certain expectations of the way that you would like the relationship to flow, because it has certain implications about the kind of effort that you'd put in or the kind of like narrative of the relationship in general. And then once it crosses like a certain threshold, or once it shifts, it's almost like this wasn't what this wasn't what I agreed upon in the first place. And then the it's like the benefit of that relationship is no longer enough for what I am looking for, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
and that girl, I didn't even fuck her. I didn't even fuck with that girl. Like, literally, it's like it is, and there was no explicit agreement. The implicit agreement is from the vibe that we were developing, right? And the moment that she breaks that because she was miscalibrated, I'm just like, nah, out. Why? Because I have certain, and that's not. I don't bring, like, on an armband. I have standards and shit. No, it is about just, you develop taste. It's like, you imagine, right? You start game, you eat what you can, right? So you go to eat shit food, right? And then you get better and better. You get better experience and better experience and better experience and reference points and reference points. And what happens is, you're like, if it doesn't pass a certain threshold, like, it's like, if it's not as good as 2-star Michelin restaurant, I'm not interested. It's like, and what is interesting is, I find that and it's like, and we touched upon it before even the recording, is the more you've done game, the more sensitive you are to the leaks, not only in other guys but in other girls, in girls. And when you find leaks in girls, it actually helps you be off put by it. I don't consider
Yeah,
girl game. Yeah, sorry, I don't consider girl game to be shit testing me, pinging me whatsoever. That's if basically I'm the bitch of the girl. Like, if a girl game is basically her trying to seduce me, I'm not trying to seduce her by basically, dodging bullets, or being a
he's not trying to be
uh,
Neo, fucking doing almost a somersault.
no, I'm not fucking Neo, right? I'm fucking Joker. I'm basically planning the shit. So, so yeah, it's like, to me, this whole idea is I have to seduce a girl. It's kind of like completely foreign. It's like she has to seduce me, not because I'm like that prize, because I've just earned my stripe, and I ain't doing that shit.
It's just more preferences at this point.
Yeah.
It's I feel like for me, I only it's like it depends on the effort level that I'm putting in. So if it's like a night game, if I'm getting sex off of night game, I'm pulling off night game. I don't I think that the chaos is just so chaotic that it kind of like destroys any potential narrative other than like fast, fast, fast chaos. But then if it comes to a point where it's more like day game, or if it's like a more coherent stage, then you're going to have a certain expectation of how you would want to be treated, and then that becomes more important than the sex, right? So it's like if the girl treats me a certain way, then even if she does offer sex, like in retrospect, like let's say even if she messes up and then she offers sex in retrospect, then you wouldn't even want it because then the sex has a different implied meaning towards it, right? It's like it wasn't that she was giving it to you because of the genuine desire. Now it's like the sex has the meaning of, okay, now she's fucking up. And then now it's like the energy intent behind the sex is now different, right? And then so it's like when you say girls leaks and then everything else, for me, I like if I had to, say in like the fucking logical autistic way, I sense it's more like I see like extrapolations, right? So it's like if I see the girl is let's say that she's being difficult, or let's say that she's being if she's giving attitude in a way that I feel is unwarranted, then I know that downstream from that, I know what it means the way that she sees me. I know what it means for her, like what she thinks of her in our relationship or in this kind of like entanglement or whatever. I know what it means, like probably like content based, like okay, like where is her tolerance? Does she understand how to properly address a conflict? Does she properly understand how to, address me? Then if it's like if she doesn't care about all of that, then when you kind of like extrapolate further and further and further, and then you can kind of extract more meaning behind it. And then I don't know if it's just me that does this, but it's like I'm more like, that's why I call myself autistic, or people are like, oh, you read too much into that shit. But I'm just like, I'm very I want, like, for lack of a better word, sensitive towards,
I was just gonna say. I was
yeah.
gonna say that word. Yeah, I was gonna say that word.
But I think it's just
Uh,
like when it comes to when I speak, I guess it depends on if we're speaking like through personal preferences versus if we're speaking towards the general populace, right? Because I feel like if I say this, it's very easily misconstrued to where the guys who do not have that level of calibration, they're going to conflate their bad behavior to the girl not, being respectful, or to the girl not, giving them what they want, their preference, right? But it's like their preference doesn't align with reality. It's like if you have the experience of the Michelin star restaurant, right? So you're just like, I'm the Michelin fucking star. But then for these guys, if they have the expectations going to eat at McDonald's, right? Then it's like, what the fuck, man? Like reality doesn't work like that for you, bro. So I guess
yeah,
there's a difference between like you said, because you already said this, right? It's like the not from a normative lens, but from like your personal preference.
yeah. And the thing is, it's also about giving perspective to guys to what they can actually potentially achieve, right? Like, I mean,
That's true.
some people, some guys just want to find just a girlfriend and be done with it, and be like, yeah, cool, that's fine. It's like, don't necessarily follow my path, your path, or whoever path. It's like you have to find yours, and that's also the principle of game. You'll find yours by actually exposing yourself and discovering about yourself. But at the same time, don't have self-limiting belief in terms of what you think is possible. And that's the biggest lesson, I think, because we don't think. I never thought I would have had like those experiences I've had I not believed in game. And
Bro,
that's
bro, you have to like if I had to fucking go back in time and like go to where when I started, man, it's oh my god,
uh,
bro.
it's like yeah, I think that's actually a good way to kind of like wrap up the pod, right? Before looking at the short term benefit of what you think is the next turnkey solution, ask yourself: do you see it sustainable long term? Because you may get a short term win, but really, does it have the scope, the scale, or even um, the expected value that game has? It really is as simple as that.
Yeah. are you building on shaky foundation, or is it solid and is it congruent that can basically expand and I guess like pass the maybe it sounds corny, but it's past like the test of time, right? Because if it's built
Yeah.
off of faulty grounds, then it's not going to be stable long term. And then, it's valueless at that point. And then there's also like your personal preference about what you actually want, right? It's
Hmm.
when you start to have the sex or have the dating life that you actually want, the way to move to the next level isn't because it's like at that point, it's not about what more new game do I have to run. It really is about at that point, like, what do you want and how can you live your life or express yourself in such a way that adheres to that? Because it's at that point, it's not about her. At that point, it's more about you.
Yes. And you'll notice it's like as you get more experienced, you'll find that it's less about the numbers, but more about the quality, more about what is the niche you want. What is the type of girls you want? Can you actually attract those type of girls? Instead of actually being chosen, you can be the one who chooses.
Yeah,
And that's
that's
your
why.
biggest agency.
That's why, like, when I hear guys talk about I don't know. I don't want to name, or talk shit, but it's like when guys talk about like body counts or shit like that, it's not as big of a trophy as a lot of people think. Because I know guys that have like 200, 300, but then it's like the quality of the girls that they can get, or even the amount of respect, the amount of influence that they have on that girl is very minimal, right? So it's like if you load up your front end and that's all you know how to do, if you never had your back end dialed, like just to put in a business perspective, right? If you're only getting like the fucking $15 deals and you never know how to translate that into like a fucking whopping 5K, 2K, 5K in the back end, who really has more value, right? The guy who's closing more front ends or the guy who can take it through the whole funnel? So,
And ask yourself this, right? Like outside of even like selling, like use your low, mid, and high ticket, right? You know, what is it you want? Again, what is it you want? Because even when you look at frame as a subject, right? It really goes down to that. It's like, uh, who are you? What do you want? What are you aiming for and what we all tolerate? That's it.
mhm.
Learn that
It's
for yourself.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like the beginning we're so focused on the strategy for the outcome, but then it's it's so interesting because it's like a almost like a perfect parallel, right? Like in business, you want to do whatever it takes to make the money, and then once you have the money, you want to do whatever it takes to sort of like start automating, to start delegating, to start reducing sort of like the the hand that you have to play on it, if that's what you want, right? But if you want to
Hmm.
continue doing it, it's more about like, what do you actually want out of that particular scenario, whether it's business or whether it's dating? Like, outcome first, and then afterwards, for most people, right? Maybe, some people are different. Afterwards, it's more about effort level and amount of freedom that you have within the setup that you've built up.
It's like, have your fuck you money in order to say fuck you. Because there's nothing better than say fuck you. Trust me on that.
Bro, sometimes I'll tell you this, right? Sometimes maybe I'm twisted, right? But sometimes the feeling that I get from rejecting the sex feels a million times better than actually getting like shitty sex. It's like if it's not under the right, like you said, right? If it's not the right flow, then if it's not like the experience that you actually wanted, the energy exchange is off. Like even if you fucking fuck her, you feel shit afterwards. So then
Yeah,
it
no, no, that is actually such a fucking true thing. It is such a true thing because it's you'll find yourself in a situation where you fuck a girl and you're like and you feel disgusted about yourself afterwards.
Bro, I have a friend,
It's
right? I have a friend. He
yeah.
fucks a girl, and then like he tells me he feels so disgusted with himself that he needs to eat a fucking pizza or like a burrito right afterwards. He's like you. He's gonna end up with Pizza John shit. You know, it's not.
Hey man, I've eaten. I think it's like, but it's more about she food than she chicks. But hey, you know. Anyway, we went on a fucking tangent on this, guys. Thank you for listening. I hope you had a good laugh. Got some information about it, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.